Buổi điều trần của Hội đồng thành phố San Jose và công ty California Waste Solutions về việc tiếp tục hợp đồng sau 15 năm hoặc phải đấu thầu trở lại. Thưa quý vị, khoảng 300 đồng hương và giới truyền thông Việt đã đến tòa thị chính San Jose tham dự buổi điều trần về việc một công ty do người Mỹ gốc Việt làm chủ bị thành phố đối xử không công bằng. Bà con đã có mặt tại đây hơn 9 tiếng đồng hồ, từ 1 giờ trưa đến gần 10 giờ tối, hôm thứ Ba, ngày 15 tháng 1 năm 2019 tại City Halll San Jose. Theo thông báo và thư mời của công ty California Waste Solutions, thì mục đích của cuộc điều trần này là để Hội đồng thành phố lắng nghe Sở Tài Nguyên và Môi Trường thành phố, viết tắt là ESD, báo cáo về việc ESD đã đề nghị các nghị viên bỏ phiếu cho 3 công ty đang thầu rác của thành phố được gia hạn hợp đồng thêm 15 năm. Riêng công ty California Waste Solutions với chủ nhân gốc Việt thì không cho gia hạn hợp đồng như 3 công ty này, mà trái lại họ đưa hợp đồng của công ty California Waste Solutions ra đấu thầu trở lại. Công ty California Waste Solutions cho rằng thành phố San Jose đã đối xử không công bằng nên đã gửi thông báo và thư mời đến cộng đồng người Mỹ gốc Việt đến đây để lắng nghe sự thật sẽ được trình bày trước Hội đồng thành phố và kêu gọi sự ủng hộ cho công ty California Waste Solutions, yêu cầu thành phố phải đối xử công bằng với công ty của người Việt duy nhất ký được hợp đồng làm việc trực tiếp với thành phố. Trong suốt 6 tiếng đồng hồ, đồng hương cũng như những công nhân, người Mễ, Latino, v.v. của công ty California Waste Solutions và các thành viên hoạt động trong cộng đồng chờ đợi đến lượt mình lên phát biểu ý kiến, mà đa số là ủng hộ công ty California Waste Solutions. Cuộc điều trần này bắt đầu từ lúc 6 giờ 30 dưới sự điều khiển của thị trưởng Sam Licado với 9 nghị viên thành phố, 1 nghị viên vắng mặt. Mở đầu, phía Sở Tài Nguyên và Môi Trường thành phố phân tích và dẫn chứng những số liệu để chứng minh công ty California Waste Solutions không đủ điều kiện ký kết tái hợp đồng 15 năm vì công ty California Waste Solutions phục vụ không tốt trong thời gian qua. Sau đó, Tổng Giám đốc, Phó Tổng Giám đốc, nhân viên và các sắc dân của công ty California Waste Solutions cùng với đồng hương lần lượt phát biểu đều cho rằng đánh giá của Sở Tài Nguyên và Môi Trường thành phố là thiên vị, thiếu khách quan, không thuyết phục. Họ chứng minh công ty California Waste Solutions đủ điều kiện và yêu cầu thành phố tái hợp đồng cho công ty California Waste Solutions như 3 công ty kia. Trong suốt hơn 3 tiếng đồng hồ tranh luận, nêu ý kiến và nhận định. Kết quả, Hội đồng thành phố San Jose đồng thuận với 9 phiếu thuận, yêu cầu trong 30 ngày, công ty California Waste Solutions thương lượng lại với Sở Tài Nguyên và Môi Trường thành phố để đạt đến thỏa thuận trình lên Hội đồng thành phố San Jose. Trong 9 phiếu thuận nói trên, có một phiếu chống của nghị viên gốc Việt duy nhất, đó là Diệp Thế Lân, làm đồng hương hết sức ngỡ ngàng. Ngoài ra còn có một phiếu của nghị viên quận 9 không được bầu vì thiếu yếu tố khách quan. Ngay sau đó, toàn bộ Hội đồng thành phố đã đồng thuận với số phiếu 11 trên 11 phiếu thuận, đồng ý cho 3 công ty còn lại tiếp tục tái hợp đồng thêm 15 năm thầu rác thành phố San Jose. Buổi điều trần kết thúc, chúng tôi được ông David Dương, Tổng Giám đốc công ty California Waste Solutions, cho biết nhận định của ông về quyết định của Hội đồng thành phố San Jose.
Sau khi Hội đồng thành phố vote thì có cái phiếu nào vote mà ông cảm thấy rằng bất ngờ đối với ông không ạ?
Thưa có, cái phiếu rất là bất ngờ, đó là cái phiếu của nghị viên Diệp Thế Lân. Bởi vì khi lúc đầu tôi không nghĩ và cũng không muốn là nghị viên Diệp Thế Lân sẽ binh người Việt. Nghị viên Diệp Thế Lân cũng nói cái việc đó, nhưng mà đặt ra những cái câu hỏi về vấn đề không công bằng đặt ra thì tôi thấy rất mừng là tại vì ông đặt rất đúng những câu hỏi đó. Nhưng mà ngược lại, khi đặt ra hết tất cả những câu hỏi đó thì là ông lại coi như là quay ra là ông là bầu không. Thay vì nếu chúng ta nghĩ mà không muốn binh người Việt với nhau, không cho thấy là binh người Việt nhau, có thể bỏ phiếu trắng, nhưng mà đằng này ông lại bầu chống lại cái việc mà gia hạn cho chúng tôi. Thì đó là cái việc mà tôi thấy rất là buồn. Là một người Việt Nam, là một cái công ty Việt Nam, và tôi thấy buồn cho cái việc đó. Tôi nghĩ cái đó thì không phải riêng tôi Bởi khi bước ra phòng thì rất nhiều hội đoàn cũng đã nói với tôi là ông Diệp Thế Lân, ông bị sao mà ông lại bầu vậy. Thì cái việc mà tôi không biết là lý do gì, là tại sao. Bởi vì những câu hỏi ông hỏi đó thì ông đặt ra đối với Sở Tài Nguyên Môi Trường thì rất là hay. Đó là tôi thấy là những câu hỏi đặt nó đúng chiều đúng hướng, nhưng ngược lại là bầu không, và bầu ngược lại là coi như là muốn đưa cái hợp đồng của chúng tôi ra để đấu lại. Thì việc đó làm cho tôi rất là ngỡ ngàng và coi như là rất là shock, có nghĩa là tôi không biết chuyện gì xảy ra.
Nhưng mà nói tóm lại, ngày hôm nay cái kết quả là đưa ông về Sở Môi trường để làm việc lại với họ, thì có ngoài cái dự kiến của ông hay không, và cái kết quả này ông có hài lòng hay không ạ?
Thưa, cái kết quả của ngày hôm nay thì thật sự không phải hài lòng lắm, bởi vì cả cộng đồng, cả các hội đoàn, cả tất cả các cái cơ quan truyền thông báo chí đã có mặt ở đây từ hồi 1 giờ trưa mà tới giờ phút này là đã là 10 giờ đêm. Đó, để chờ cái kết quả là chúng tôi muốn hội đồng thành phố phải hỏi nhiều hơn, tại vì chúng tôi chuẩn bị tất cả những cái chứng cứ đó để nộp, để trình tại đó, nhưng mà có thể hội đồng thành phố họ không muốn nghe tại thời điểm này, cho nên họ chỉ đẩy chúng tôi vào cái thế phải ngồi lại thêm 30 ngày để mà coi như là điều đình. Và cái thứ hai tôi không hài lòng là nếu mà đẩy về 30 ngày thì cái việc mà họ đã chuẩn bị để bầu cho 3 công ty kia được gia hạn thì mắc cái mới gì phải bầu ngày hôm nay. 30 ngày sau họ cũng thể đầu bầu được, thấy chưa? Họ đã quyết định về rồi thì tại sao bầu ngày hôm nay để cho 3 cái công ty kia là được gia hạn và công ty chúng tôi phải ngồi lại trong 30 ngày. Thì như vậy là 3 công ty kia là một trong những công ty, 2 công ty, 3 công ty đó có thể là đối thủ muốn công ty chúng tôi mất cái hợp đồng này, để họ là những người sẽ được hưởng lợi và lấy cái hợp đồng này. Thì như vậy trong 30 ngày tới họ có tìm đủ một cách để lung lay với Sở Tài Nguyên Môi Trường, tìm đủ một cách để làm áp lực hỏi Sở Tài Nguyên Môi Trường để đi đến cái công việc là điều định giúp chúng tôi không được thành công, để rồi coi như hợp đồng chúng tôi thải ra và một trong 3 công ty của họ sẽ được thắng trong cái việc đó. Thì việc đó là việc tôi thấy là nó cũng không công bằng, khi mà hội đồng thành phố biết được ngày hôm nay không có trễ gì, khi mà họ đã quyết định, đã bầu cho họ rồi, qua công ty đó, là tại sao mình không chờ 30 ngày sau để coi cái công ty này là họ đã nói là không công bằng, thì như vậy họ trở lại là có được hay không, rồi chúng ta bầu luôn. Lúc đó cũng không có trễ để mà coi như bầu cái việc đó. Thì đây là 2 cái mà tôi thấy không có đạt theo cái ý mình. Nhưng mà cái đạt của ý mình là hôm nay chúng ta thấy là tới 11 luôn cảm thị trưởng, 11 nghị viên thì một người không thể bầu, bởi vì cái lý do là họ mới được ứng cử vào, và có một lý do là họ không được bầu trong cái việc này. Và cái người thứ hai đó là ông Diệp Thế Lân lại không bầu, không bỏ phiếu trắng mà lại bầu là chống lại và muốn cái hợp đồng này được đưa ra. Còn ngoài ra thì ông thị trưởng và tất cả những người còn lại đều bầu là coi như cho gia hạn 30 ngày để công ty có thể thương lượng lại với Sở Tài Nguyên Môi Trường với những cái điều mà coi như là hội đồng thành phố đề nghị ra, là Sở Tài Nguyên Môi Trường chỉ làm việc với công ty chúng tôi trong những cái điều khoản đó. Thành ra tôi thấy cái này thì mình có thể đạt được, bởi vì những cái điều khoản đó đối với chúng tôi ngày hôm nay thì tôi thấy nó đã đồng ý rồi. Nhưng mà Sở Tài Nguyên Môi Trường làm những cái con số, làm những cái việc báo cáo nó khác. Mà bây giờ nếu họ đúng lại, đi ngược lại với thực tế thì theo hội đồng thành phố thì tôi nghĩ cái này chắc chắn là chúng ta sẽ được. Chúng tôi xin gửi lời chân thành đối với gia đình chúng tôi, đối với công ty. Chúng tôi gửi lời chân thành cảm ơn đến tất cả quý vị đồng hương, quý vị các cái hội đoàn và tất cả các cơ quan truyền thông báo chí đã đến đây tham dự với chúng tôi. Dầu rằng quý vị đến đây là vì mục đích là giúp cho công ty của chúng tôi, là mục đích là vì cộng đồng, để đòi hỏi cái sự công bằng cho cộng đồng, hay vì đời con đời cháu của chúng ta trong tương lai. Tất cả quý vị đến đây thì là quý vị gặp chúng tôi, quý vị đến đây là vì công việc của chúng tôi. Thành ra chúng tôi xin chân thành cảm ơn đến tất cả quý đồng hương, quý cơ quan truyền thông báo chí và tất cả các hội đoàn đã có mặt ngày hôm nay để chúng ta đạt được cái thành công của ngày hôm nay. Cái thành công đây là hôm nay họ bỏ phiếu cho 3 công ty kia. Đúng ra đó là theo cái đề nghị thì đúng ra là họ phải coi như là lấy cái hợp đồng mình đi và đưa hợp đồng để đấu thầu trở lại, mà họ đã suy nghĩ lại và nghĩ lại làm cái gì đó cho nó được công bằng một chút, là nhờ tất cả quý vị có mặt đầy đông đủ, làm một làm một cái sự suy nghĩ và xây được cái chiều hướng cái suy nghĩ của hội đồng thành phố trên kia. và để cho chúng ta thêm có một lần nữa được công bằng để ngồi xuống để thảo luận, và hy vọng rằng tôi sẽ làm hết mình để giữ cái hợp đồng này và tiếp tục làm. Như tôi đã nói, không phải là vì vấn đề kiếm bao nhiêu tiền nữa, mà vì vấn đề là cái danh dự của cộng đồng, và vì vấn đề là chân đứng của thế hệ của chúng ta trong tương lai. Bởi vì chúng tôi không muốn mất cái chân đứng ở tại một cái nơi mà cộng đồng chúng ta ở đây trên 10%. Mà nếu là để mất cái chân đứng này 15 năm tới thì chúng tôi biết là không những có chỉ có rác, không ai có thể vô đây thầu, có nghĩa là không có người Việt Nam nào sẽ vô đây thầu được rác nữa, mà kể cả khi rớt cái chân đứng này thì đây là cái cơ hội cho các ban ngành, họ sẽ tìm đủ một cách. Đó, họ thấy là cỡ đây với Dương đã làm 11 năm, cỡ người đã có một hợp đồng là vài 300 triệu mà chúng tôi còn đánh rớt được, thì như vậy thì tất cả những cái công ty của chúng ta bắt đầu muốn thầu lại với thành phố, hoặc là con em chúng ta muốn nghĩ tới cái tương lai của mình có được đối xử công bằng hay không, nó cái hướng cho đi mình hay không, chân đứng của cha con, của chú bác của mình đi trước có đứng ra để mà tranh đấu, để giành giữ những cái chân đứng, để rồi có thể truyền đạt cho mình hay không, thì chúng tôi sẽ đặt cái đó hàng đầu, và chúng tôi sẽ ráng tối đa để làm tất cả những gì có thể làm để giữ được cái hợp đồng này. Vì cái hợp đồng vừa qua chúng tôi đã lỗ rất nhiều, thì không có cách gì chúng tôi không sợ giữ tiếp để giữ chân đứng cho coi như là thế hệ sau này của con em của chúng ta.
Anh Brian Đỗ, một nhân vật hoạt động nhiều năm trong cộng đồng Việt, nhận định rằng có một phiếu chống duy nhất trong Hội đồng thành phố San Jose lại là phiếu của nghị viên Diệp Thế Lân đã nhất quyết không cho cơ hội tiếp tục hợp đồng của công ty người Mỹ gốc Việt. Ông Brian Đỗ cho rằng đây là một thất vọng của cộng đồng. Ngoài ra, ông nhận thấy đây là lần thứ hai người dân gốc Việt kéo đến đây đông nhất. Đó là sự kiện lần thứ nhất vụ Lido Sài Gòn, hàng ngàn người Việt đến đây đòi dân chủ, và lần thứ hai này là đòi công bằng.
Xin cảm ơn anh và xin cảm ơn quý vị khán thính giả của chương trình Việt Vùng Vịnh. Thì thứ nhất chúng ta cũng như là một số quý vị cũng đã biết rồi, thì cái vote ngày hôm nay là 9-1, có nghĩa là 9 người nghị viên và ông thị trưởng đã đồng ý ủng hộ cho CWS để thêm 30 ngày nữa để thương lượng với nhân viên của thành phố, và một người nghị viên đó là Diệp Thế Lân bỏ phiếu chống lại một công ty mà người Mỹ gốc Việt, công ty CWS có một cái cơ hội. Thì đó sự thất vọng của cộng đồng Việt Nam của chúng ta. Đó là thứ nhất. Và Brian cũng xin phép được lấy cái cơ hội để nói lên là trong bao nhiêu năm nay Brian tới những cuộc họp của thành phố thì thấy ngoài cái chuyện Lido Sài Gòn ra, đây là phải nói là ngày hôm nay là ngày đông người Việt Nam tới đông nhiều nhất. Ngoài những sự vụ liên quan City Council mà gặp ở những hội đồng thành phố liên quan Lido Sài Gòn thì đây là đông nhất.
Mời quý vị theo dõi toàn bộ diễn tiến của cuộc điều trần như sau. Mỹ Lợi tường thuật từ San Jose xin thân ái kính chào quý vị.
Good afternoon. We'll call the meeting to order for January 15th, 2019, plus residential solid waste agreements. We have a presentation, so welcome Kerry and Kip and team.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Honorable Council, and members of the public. Kip Harkness, Deputy City Manager.
With all due respect, I believe I have a conflict that I need to recuse myself for before the presentation begins.
Yes. Thank you, Councilmember Foley. Did you want to describe the conflict, or?
Did you want to set it up and then I'll describe it, or?
Okay, yeah, so we're going to bifurcate this item on 7.1. We're first going to take the item as to California Waste Solutions, and we will decide the issue as to California Waste Solutions. Then we'll decide the issue as to the other recyclers and haulers. Now, Councilmember Foley, would you like to describe your conflict, which explains this need for bifurcation?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
I will be recusing myself on the vote as it relates to the item 1 of 7.1. That is a conflict that exists because of a policy that was passed, number 12.22.310, that prohibits me from voting on anything that, frankly, my campaign consultant was hired later to handle as a consultant for CWS. So I won't be here for the vote, or the discussion, or the presentation.
We'll miss you, Councilmember Foley.
I'll be back.
Thank you. Okay, With that now, Kip and Carrie, would you like to proceed?
Certainly. Again, thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of council, members of the general public. Kip Harkness, Deputy City Manager. I want to take just a moment to frame this, and then I'll hand it over to Carrie, Valerie, and Jeff, who will go into the details of this important and complex issue. We're here today to talk about trash, garbage, recycling, yard waste. This is something that has actually been very important to me for a long time, literally since I was a child. I was a little bitty boy in Beaumont, Texas, and one of my first memories was sitting on the stoop, watching that garbage truck come and take away the trash, because my first chore I ever had was to take out the household trash. And that's when I started asking questions about where does that trash go? How do they take care of it? What do they do with it? And one day a wind came up and blew off the hat of the garbage collector. My mom got it, cleaned it up, and gave it to me. And every day thereafter, I'd put that cap on and I'd sit and I'd watch that garbage truck come. I've lived all over the globe since then. I've lived in 12 different places. This is 46 years later. I have that cap. And it says, City of Beaumont Solid Waste. And that cap and that story are important to me. They're important to me because it's what got me started thinking about cities and what's important to them. And they're important to me because it's what we're talking about today. And so I want to use this cap to say two things before we start our more complicated discussion. One, I want to look at and talk to all the people who work in this industry, who drive our trucks, who pick up our trash, who pick up our recycling, our yard waste, who take that, who sort it, who clean it, who deal with that hard work and that dirty work day in and day out. And I want to say thank you. I appreciate the work you do. It's important not only to me, but it's important to us as a city. It's one of the most important things a city can do to make sure that that kind of service continues to happen and to happen well. And then the second point I want to use this cap to make is that we've worked hard here to make sure that those services can continue. And so we bring forward today a set of recommendations. And I know this will be a difficult conversation, so I'll just briefly frame them. On the positive side, we went back in the summer and we restarted negotiations that had been stalled, and we worked hard and were able to come to what we think is a sound agreement with Garden City Sanitation, Green Team, and Green Waste. If approved, these will provide for continued service in garbage and recycling, collection, processing, yard waste for an additional 15 years. Also, we worked hard, and I think we had a respectful and productive set of negotiations with CWS. Unfortunately, despite seeking to understand the issues, changing our approach multiple times, we were not able to strike a deal with CWS that we believe delivers on what you directed us to do, which is to come back with the best value possible for the ratepayer. The significant increases in price of 60 to 70% that they were recommending, along with continuing issues in meeting diversion targets and customer service, meant that we could not come back to you professionally and say, this is the best possible deal, without going out and competing in the open market. We could not say, take this sole source contract, add $220 million and 15 years without making sure it was the best possible deal. So that is our recommendation for a competitive and open process for that final agreement, and that we might see a better price, or we might see improvements in quality, or in fact that might be the best deal out there. In either case, we will walk you through the details here, and we'll be available after the presentation for any questions you might have as you engage in this important and complicated topic. With that, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Carrie Romanow, our Director of Environmental Services.
Thank you, Kip. I've come to really love that hat almost as much as you do. Carrie Romanow, Director of Environmental Services. We're also joined today by Jeff Anderson. Jeff is our Environmental Services Program Manager, who, among other things, leads the Recycle Plus program, and Valerie Osmond, our Deputy Director of Integrated Waste Management with the Environmental Services Department. We wanted to start off with kind of a history of the Recycle Plus program. It was established after the passage of Assembly Bill 939, which mandated all California jurisdictions to divert 50% of its waste by landfills in 2000. So the program was initiated in 1989. In 1983, we started curbside recycling with 4 bins, yard trimming collections, and all services contracted out. In 2002, we transitioned to 4 recycling bins to 1 recycling cart that we see today. It was more convenient for residents and increased both the amount of recyclables collected and the waste diverted. The current contractors, Green Team and Green Waste, were selected through a competitive procurement to provide services. California Waste Solutions at that time provided recycling processing services as a subcontractor to NorCal. In 2006, NorCal declined an option to extend their contract under the same terms and compensation rates, and their services were put out to bid. And in response to an RFP, NorCal submitted a proposal, and staff recommended NorCal to again provide those services. However, council rejected that recommendation, and CWS and Garden City were selected to provide services beginning in 2007. In 2008, we began to process garbage from multifamily dwellings to divert organics, and in 2014, we extended this to single-family dwellings throughout the city. In 2016, Senate Bill 1383 was enacted, which establishes methane reduction targets, and we're still working through the details of how those will be implemented. Currently, Recycle Plus services are provided by 4 contracted service providers. California Waste Solutions in Districts A and C provide single-family recycling collection and processing and junk pickup services. Garden City Sanitation provides single-family garbage collection in Districts A and C. Green Team of San Jose provides single-family recycling collection and processing and junk pickup in Service District B, and multifamily city facilities citywide. And Green Waste Recovery provides yard trimming, collection, and processing, residential street sweeping, and garbage processing citywide. There are 214,000 citywide single-family households and 108,000 citywide multifamily dwellings. For recycling services, CWS and Green Team provide services to approximately the same number of households, about 160,000 each. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jeff to walk through how the system works.
Thank you, Carrie. Jeff Anderson, Environmental Services Program Manager. This diagram will show the flow of material from the resident making the decision on where to place their waste to the processing facilities and ultimately to the end markets or landfill. Based on information the resident receives, they make a decision on which is the correct cart to place their material. The better informed they are, the better decision they'll make, and less material will end up in the landfill. Per the agreements, the haulers are responsible for outreach and changing customer behavior to recycle better. All of San Jose's residential garbage is now processed to recover recyclables and organics. After the garbage is collected, it's taken to a materials recovery facility, or MRF, where it is sorted into 3 streams. Recyclables are sold to market, organics are sent to a composting facility and sold as compost, and processing residue is landfilled. Now, recycling is taken to one of 2 material recovery facilities operated by our contractors and processed. Like the garbage processing, recyclables are sold to market and processing residue is landfilled. Any organics mistakenly placed in the recycling cart are not currently recovered at our processing facilities and our landfill. So effective outreach is key for keeping non-recyclables out of the cart in the first place. The effectiveness of a MRF is dependent on a number of factors: facility design, automated sorting equipment, maintenance of that equipment, and staffing and training for manual sorters. MRFs also need continual upgrades in order to remain effective. For example, Green Waste recently invested $10 million to upgrade their MRF, including adding 6 state-of-the-art robotic sorters. And lastly, yard trimmings are collected either in loose piles or in carts and taken to a processing facility where non-organics are removed and sent to landfill. The remaining material is sent to a compost facility and turned into compost that can be used as a nutrient-rich soil amendment. And now back to Carrie with our recommendations.
With that background, our recommendations today, as Kip highlighted, are to consider the term sheets from Garden City Sanitation, Green Team of San Jose, and Green Waste Recovery for future residential solid waste services, Direct staff to implement agreements with Garden City Sanitation, Green Team of San Jose, and Green Waste Recovery in accordance with term sheets and return to council in April 2019 with agreements through June 30, 2036. Direct staff to end negotiations with California Waste Solutions and issue a request for proposals to provide Recycle Plus services for single-family recyclable collection and processing in service districts A and C for beginning July 1, 2021 through June 30, 2036. Direct staff to exclude junk pickup from future residential solid waste services and return to council with an approach for future service delivery. Direct staff to continue negotiations with Green Waste Recovery for residential street sweeping services and return to council with a recommendation. We wanted to share just a refresher on the path we took to get here today. We were directed in March of 2017 to negotiate with the incumbent haulers to try and see if we could get a better deal than we would otherwise get by going out to RFP. To get to that point, we held over 50 face-to-face meetings. We went through multiple iterations of cost proposal to reach an outcome beneficial to ratepayers. And then last May, we weren't really at a great place. We had actually hired a third-party negotiator, which is very common in the solid waste industry to negotiate with our haulers. And we weren't in a place where we could recommend moving forward with everyone. So at that point, I asked Kip to step in and help us and see if we could spend our summer together to reach a positive outcome with all of our haulers. And thankfully, Kip was up for spending a summer with us. And he brought us through a negotiation process, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but we did look at risk-sharing provisions and finalizing key terms, and then we were hoping that, like I said, that would get to a better place. The guidelines and goals of our process was to implement zero waste strategies, so get competitive rates, ease of use, reduce per capita waste to landfill, and increase the beneficially reused material, get great customer service, and then implement the auditor's recommendations. And the results of our negotiation process is we look to strike a balance between value to the ratepayers and community and for better customer experiences and improved services. And highlighted here are some of the key outcomes that we're very proud to have achieved. From a customer service standpoint, improving overall customer service satisfaction was important to us, but also being able to measure it and being able to report on how that was going. So we're happy to share that all of the haulers agreed to implement an interface with the My San Jose app. So we'll work with the city's Office of Innovation to help figure out how to do that, and the haulers have all agreed to partner with us on that. We'll include standards such as minimal hold time, customer service representation, expectations, and completion of services on scheduled days without leaving toppled carts behind. We've also added some disincentives so that if there is a time that haulers aren't meeting the standards, we're able to help motivate them to get back on track. The current contracts do not have an overall measurement of customer satisfaction, and we think that's important, and we've come to appreciate the importance of that as a go-forward option. We are proposing to transition outreach to the city. As we've seen over the last several years, outreach is important, particularly in the recycling component. And the city auditor also identified outreach as an area in need of improvement. And with the new standards that we're proposing to measure recycling contractor performance, we think it's important that the city has control over that option, since there are compensation components that go along with how the resident behavior, how the residents respond to outreach. And we limit non-collection notices, and we limit them to only hazardous waste and overflowing garbages, and that will address some resident concerns. And again, outreach becomes even more important, that we are ensuring the right material goes in the cart. And then I mentioned SB 1383. That's a new rule to establish methane emission reductions in the solid waste arena. And the contractors have all agreed to collaborate with the city to ensure compliance with that, because the law is not quite yet finished. So we're not sure where that bar will be. We focused on risk sharing, where there might be sort of value to the ratepayer, but also value to the hauler community. When you're bidding a 15-plus year contract, there's a lot of things the hauler shared with us that they were having to guess on. And so Kip and I sought to see where we might be able to share that risk that would result in overall lower costs. So contractors were concerned about high labor costs and guessing where those would go over the long term. And so we agreed to change from a national benchmark on labor costs to a local indices. And we think that's really important, and the haulers agreed that that was important. We also came up with an innovative compensation schedule to address CWS concerns about potential costs associated with non-recyclable material in the recycling cart. And we also worked on hoping how those might result in revised pricing. And in the long term, if we're going to have a partnership, there should be that risk on both sides, and then we would be working together through the 2036 time period. So a bit more detail on each of those. We looked at as I mentioned, the local labor costs, moving from a national labor standard and CPI to local labor ones. These would include annualized averages and for things like fuel and other components. The contractors also requested a safety net provision in case the current trend in global recycling markets shifted more significantly. We agree that we would have a contract opener that we could revisit how we should be responding if those markets change dramatically. Perhaps one of the most significant changes that we made, though, is the recycling compensation rate structure. So to address CWS's concern about the amount of non-recyclables present in the recycling cart, we worked to develop a potential new compensation structure that would adjust contractor payment based on the amount of non-recyclables. Presently, the contractor payment is flat regardless of how many non-recyclables or garbage is in the recycling cart. So the current agreement, it's a flat rate for collection and processing. The contractor keeps all the revenue from the sale of recyclables, but they also bear all the market risk. So if they need to pay someone to take the material, they need to do that too. And the contractor pays for the disposal of non-recyclables. So there's really no variability in that. What we're proposing going forward is a more dynamic rate collection process based on the amount of non-recyclables. So if the amount of non-recyclables in the cart increases, the city pays the contractors more. If it decreases, we pay them less. The recycling revenue, the hauler still retains all the revenue from that. And then they pay the cost of the non-recyclables, but because if there's more garbage in the recycling cart, they're getting more money, so we're also helping to offset that, that additional disposal cost. So that's the compensation part. And then the new standard, you've heard a lot about a diversion standard and a bar that all the recycling haulers need to achieve. And that measures the amount of recyclables diverted compared to the amount of garbage in the garbage cart. So right now you can see that there's different calculations. On the left, there's different calculations for different service districts, and there's no process to amend what's on that list. Going forward, what we've agreed, and predominantly to sort of risk share some of the concerns that CWS brought up, we will simply measure the amount of recyclable or program materials that are in the residue in the end of the stream. And if it's less than 20%, then the contractor has met their standard. So in other words, they're only measured on what they can do as a recycling hauler. The material the truck picks up, they bring it to the facility, they do what they can do in their facility and sort it. We'll do an kind of end of the line check once or twice a year. And if it's less than 20%, they've achieved the standard. If it's more than 20%, There's kind of a sliding scale. And then we added a specific process for amending what's considered a program material or what's on the recyclables list. And the intent for that is, as we've been over the last several years, the recycling markets are changing. And so something may be considered marketable today, that may change over time. We want to have an opener every 2 years where we can sit down and talk about what they're seeing, what we're seeing, and then come to agreement on that. So the contractors agreed to the uniform service enhancements and performance standards, as well as new risk-sharing provisions intended to reduce the ratepayer impacts. And then we received new pricing from each of the haulers with the compensation to begin July 2021. So you can see the pricing that we received from each of the haulers. For Garden City, Green Team, and Green Waste, their proposals were roughly 10%, 11% or under, and we thought that was value to the ratepayer, and that was a reasonable cost increase. CWS was a nearly 60% rate increase for the base level of contamination, and that is one that we are not recommending going forward. And we think with the that level of increase, we should really go out and test the market and see if that is a reasonable rate or not. But the way that we heard council direction, a 60% rate increase felt like something that should be competitively procured rather than just extended. In the multifamily, we also deemed those reasonable price increases. Again, they're under the 11% range, and so we are recommending that those move forward as well. Jeff is now going to share a little bit about the other considerations that we looked at in terms of contractor performance.
Now, with uniform service enhancements agreed upon and final pricing received from our contractors, staff considered contractor performance in developing final recommendations. The two main contractual measurements for performance are liquidated damages and diversion-related disincentive penalties. Additionally, staff assessed the customer service provided by the contractors. Diversion disincentives are assessed for not achieving the targets for diverting waste from landfills. The table shows that while Green Team has met recycling diversion targets in all years of its current agreement, CWS has not met any of its targets since 2012. Liquidated damages are assessed for a variety of breaches for non-performance, including missed collections, responding late to customers' requests, and service delays. The table summarizes liquidated damages assessed since 2010, as well as diversion disincentives assessed. As you can see, CWS's totals exceed those of the other contractors. Next, Valerie Osmond will discuss customer service.
Thank you, Jeff. Valerie Osmond, Deputy Director, Environmental Services. This graph shows recent trends of non-collection notices for the single-family recycling contractors. CWS issues more NCNs than Green Team, causing a different customer service experience throughout the city. From January through September of 2018, CWS distributed an average of over 4,000 NCNs per month, while Green Team distributed an average of 14 NCNs per month. CWS's approach of leaving recycling carts uncollected by issuing NCNs has caused ongoing inconveniences for residents and has been a major source of service complaints, as residents have consistently shared their frustration with council offices and staff. Staff assessments of a sampling of NCNs issued in August 2018 showed that more than half were egregiously issued to the residents. For example, a small block of packaging foam in a recycling cart. This further erodes customer satisfaction. CWS's increased use of NCNs has resulted in many escalated calls to city staff, including council offices, the city's customer contact center, and ESD staff. Customer difficulties in getting through to the CWS Customer Service Center have further exacerbated this problem. In an August 2018 sample of CWS wait times, City staff found it took an average of 19 minutes to speak to a customer service representative with CWS. These issues have led to more than 160 escalated customer service calls to ESD contract management staff since June 2018, which is a large increase from normal levels and far more than the service complaints regarding other contractors. The majority of complaints about CWS surround issues of extended wait times, multiple calls attempted, dropped calls, and no response to voicemail messages or online inquiries. Also of note, CWS was assessed liquidated damages in September 2017, the majority of which were for failure or neglect to resolve each complaint within the time set forth in the agreement. Now we're going back to Carrie for recommendations.
So we recommend accepting the term sheets and developing final agreements with Garden City, Green Team, and Green Waste, and return to council in April 2019 with final agreements. The key factors in making our recommendation for future contracts include past contractual performance, quality of customer service as experienced by residents in recent years, and proposed pricing. By weighing these factors, staff considers the pricing reasonable for Garden City, Green Team, and Green Waste. These contractors have consistently met or exceeded their contractual obligation and have provided adequate customer service. We entered into negotiations with CWS with the expectation that they would provide a reasonable cost proposal. Prior to the start of negotiations, customer service was adequate. However, it has declined. Due to CWS's proposal to increase their compensation by nearly 60%, ongoing poor contract performance, and increasing complaints from residents about customer service, staff recommends rejecting the CWS bid and ending negotiations, issuing an RFP for fulfilling these services after June 30, 2021, the end date of the city's current contract with CWS. Staff has strived to address CWS concerns, yet CWS continues to ask for substantial contractual changes and additional compensation without sufficient ratepayer benefits that would justify extending their contract, rather than pursuing better pricing and customer service in a competitive process. There are also other additional services. We again recommend that we come back with an efficient approach for junk services and return to council with a recommendation for that service strategy. And other services that are also incorporated in the current Recycle Plus contract agreements that are not funded by Recycle Plus ratepayers, but are included in the contract include residential street sweeping provided by Green Waste and city facility solid waste and recycling provided by Green Waste and Green Team. We consider the city facilities potential pricing increase of about 5% reasonable and recommend continuing to include these services in future Recycle Plus agreements. The Department of Transportation and the Environmental Services Department will partner to continue negotiations with Green Waste for residential street sweeping services. By including street sweeping services with other solid waste services, Green Waste was able to offer competitive pricing for standard street sweeping services. And staff will explore additional enhanced services that are in line with recommendations from the 2016 street sweeping audit and return to council with a final recommendation for street sweeping.
And with that, we conclude our presentation, waiting questions you might have and any direction you might have for us.
And I wanted to also share that ESD has brought a Vietnamese interpreter as well for the public comment period if that's necessary. The interpreter is available.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask if Councilmember Diep might be kind enough to say that.
Thưa quý vị, hôm nay chúng ta mang theo thông dịch viên, cho nên nếu quý vị muốn phát biểu one minute,
yes.
Lát nữa sẽ có 1 phút để phát biểu ý kiến của mình đối với hội đồng thành phố. Xin điền cái đơn cái thẻ bàn đó rồi để vào cái hộp, sẽ có người kêu đến và chúng ta có thông dịch viên nếu cần.
Thank you, Councilmember. Okay, I have a very large stack of cards here, but I don't know if are there still folks in the overflow room, Tony? We don't know. Okay.
No, I'll go check.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to call folks down in the order in which I believe I've received these cards. So starting with Leon Dryden, followed by Doug Strauss, Wesley McConkey, John Bouchard, David Young? Martin? No. Welcome. Come on down. Hi.
Good evening. I'm one of those complaining customers. And the reason why I complain is because the city doesn't really give our residents a real good knowledge of what goes in the recyclable. In my area, I've seen everything. So I can't tell the rest of the group what's good or bad and what they reject or what. But what I do know is the fact is California Waste Solution, when their trucks leave, they flow with paper behind them. And when you call them and tell them, they say they'll send somebody out. But it's a day or 2 days later that the individual will show up. And by then, the wind has taken the paper and blown it everywhere. And I've submitted documentation to the city. I've done it multiple times. And the thing I still get from them is, we don't know what to do with it.
Thank you,
It's
sir.
not our problem.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Wesley McConkey with Green Team of San Jose, and I'm excited to have one more opportunity to talk to you today before you vote on the negotiations for the Recycle Plus agreements. And just a little reminder on our background, Green Team of San Jose has been servicing garbage and recycling collection in San Jose since 1993, the beginning of the Recycle Plus program. And currently we provide service to single-family District B, all multifamily complexes in San Jose, and all city facilities. Our recycling is processed and marketed by Green Waste Recovery. We're proud that we've been a high-performing service provider throughout our tenure in San Jose and are honored to be a part of this community. Our annual bike giveaway at Christmas in the Park is a highlight of the year for us. Over the last year and a half, we've worked closely with staff and met with many of you, and we sincerely appreciate your time and consideration. From the negotiations process, we've gained a deep understanding of what the city is looking for from its solid waste service provider. And we believe that we are absolutely the folks and the company to continue to deliver this essential service to our community. We, of course, support staff's recommendation to negotiate a new agreement with us, and we hope that you support that in your voting tonight as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Mayor, council members, I'm Doug Strauss. I'm an attorney. I work with CWS. I've been working with CWS in San Jose since the NorCal days, which unfortunately were resolved by litigation. I'm not here for litigation tonight. I'm here because I'm shocked that the CWS relationship with the city has deteriorated to the point that the staff report that you heard over the last 30 minutes is inaccurate, unfair, and biased. In the minute that I have, I can't possibly address the inaccuracies in that report, and it's probably not the most productive way to spend my time. I can tell you that CWS is prepared to agree and communicated to the city that they would agree with all of the negotiation results that were described to you. None of those terms are unacceptable to CWS. CWS proposed rates that are equivalent to and will be happy to accept the same rates that Green Team accepted. This chart doesn't have the rates per household on it. It has rate increase percentages. CWS's rates are much lower currently, so of course CWS is charging a higher rate a higher percentage in order to get to a higher rate. It looks like my time has run out.
It has. Thank you.
If I could have 15 seconds.
No, you can't, but you can submit any information to the clerk and be distributed.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is David Duong. I'm CEO and President of California Waste Solution. California Waste Solution have been doing business with City San Jose since 2002. I have only 1 minute, so I want to bring you three key things. When the report saying the pricing, our price is compatible with our with other hauler. So it's not like higher like what the report say. The service, talking about service, the problem we've been servicing the City of San Jose for 166,000 homes every single week for the last 11 years. There's no problem. The problem just arises lately. Since the bulky item that start in the city program, that is supposed to be a pilot program only for unlimited item to be picked up. But then the city is put in a situation without working us in advance and then put it out there as unlimited throughout the city. So we didn't even get a chance to start up with our customer service, with our driver, with our truck. That's why it needs us to start up, and we caught up. We want you to know it's not us. And then the other thing is fine. The fine is, if you see that's over $2 million, is fine to us because of diversion rate. 40% of the recycling bins are contained with garbage. How can we, diverse, 40% of garbage and make it to a 90% of recyclable material? We can't diverse this, and that's why we get fined every year for that. And if you compare with all other fines, we align with our competitor. With our, other, service area. So we're not, that far away. We hope that we can continue our business in San Jose, continue service in San Jose. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
Hi, my name is Martin Ngo. I've been working with the company for 7 years now, where I work as a sorter, and I'm also a native of San Jose. I started this job when I was 21 years old. Oh, actually on my birthday, actually. This job is my community, in a sense. Like, it's my home away from home. I spent 1/4 of my life here with these people, and I truly appreciate the community that we built at CWS. CWS provides a safe work environment as well as a fair union wage for me and to take care of myself and my family. Our jobs are in jeopardy if the CWS contract is not extended. Speaking half for my coworkers, I ask you to treat CWS fairly and keep CWS contract.
Thank you, sir. After Mr. Bouchard is LaFlora Cunningham Walsh, Ken Huang, Joe Gomez, Lei Din, Rogelio Garcia, and Jose Rodriguez.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Thanks for having us here tonight, and thank you for your time and attention on this issue. I know it's been in discussion for a long time. It's obviously very complicated. Oh, by the way, my name is John Bouchard, Secretary-Treasurer of Teamsters Local 350. We represent all the union workers in garbage recycling in the city of San Jose, including 117 workers at CWS. 50 of those workers work in the MRF, their material recovery facility. Many of those members are here tonight because they're concerned about their jobs. Our primary concern, as always, is to protect our members' jobs and their wages and benefits, which they fought very hard for. And quite frankly, CWS has been a good partner with us in terms of negotiating good collective bargaining agreements for those members. And my main concern now is that if this goes out to RFP, the 50 MRF workers, if it goes out to a different company, are likely to lose their jobs. Most of those MRF workers are residents of San Jose, and right now they have great union wages, including health care and pensions. We are in support of the memo from Vice Mayor Jones offering a 30-day extension of negotiations. We encourage council members to vote yes on that. I think that's important to continue negotiations and try to get a sustainable deal done. And we also are concerned about protecting our members' wages and benefits moving forward, which we think that the memo from Councilmember Arenas helps to address. So I would encourage City Council to please continue to negotiate with the company. I'm confident that the issues can be resolved.
Thank you.
And I'll help in any way I can. Thank you.
Thanks, John. And we have your letters as well.
Hello, I'm LaFlora Cunningham Walsh, and I'm here because I'm also passionate about trash and recycling. I'm here today to not speak about the specific issues, but to talk about a larger vision. I see a lot of things that come up on this council's agenda. I see a lot of solutions that we could have here. I would really like us to take a different track, and instead of treating it like trash, I would like to see us treat it as a valuable resource, a circular economy where we can improve the economies here, the lives of workers here, the environment here. As you said, the health, the economy, and the environment. Those are the things that are most important, and I hope that we can have a larger vision about how that can happen. I would like to see some plastic recycling happening possibly within city limits, something as a public-private partnership, and I would like to see those resources possibly turned into tiny houses for the homeless. Thank you.
Thank you. After our next speaker will be Maria Pinal, Rocio Gomez, Jorge Suarez, Jorge Valentina, and Enrique Flores.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Joel. I'm an employee with CWS. I've been there for about 9 years. I'm also a resident of San Jose. I live in District 3. Just want to say this union job has brought me financial stability as well as a good paying job in the city that I live in. I feel that this contract, by giving this contract to somebody else, it's not going to solve the issue of contamination and all the other issues that come with it. I just want to say that I ask that you treat us fairly, myself and all our coworkers, and extend our contract. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. All right. I'm going to keep, sir, could you please state your name? Actually, before you come, let me call a few more folks, because I know.
You call my name Dan Nguyen.
Oh, okay, just one moment, sir. I'll ask you to speak in just a moment. Francisco Molina, Jose Villa, Toto Tianero, Manuel Cortez, Benny Cortez, and Anthony Cabrera. Please come down. Thank you. Go ahead, sir. Thank you.
My name is Dan Nguyen. I would like to say I support California Waste Solution. It's a company. It's our community. Respect, I am a resident at San Jose, at Oakland Road, 95131. CWS is doing good job for last over 10 years. I ask City Council to extend CWS contract to keep job for over 100 families. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Come on up, sir. After our next speaker will be Ariel Villa, Brian Portillo, Rigoberto Lopez, Kien Tran, Maria Martinez, and Deng Lu. Hello, sir.
Buenas tardes, cónsul. Mi nombre es José Villa. Yo trabajo para California.
Un minuto, señor. Is there a translator that we have available just to ensure that?
Not for Spanish.
Lo siento, señor. Vamos a determinar si hay una persona que puede interpretar.
We were not requested to have a Spanish translator, so
I
I
see.
don't have one.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Can you come down? Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah. So he'll have 2 minutes so you can speak, and then we'll have a minute translation. Lo siento, señor. Gracias por su paciencia. Okay. Ma'am, thank you very much for your willingness to help.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es José Villa. Trabajo en California Waste Solution por más o menos 20 años. Mi mi posición es operador de equipo y vivo en San José por bastante tiempo. Estoy muy contento en este trabajo porque siempre ha sido solvente para sostener a mi familia. Y pues es muy difícil para mí empezar en otra empresa, pues si no dejan el contrato para California Waste Solution. Y la posición que tenemos ahorita con California, pues todos estamos contentos trabajando con ellos porque estamos sosteniendo nuestra familia. Y una de las cosas más importantes es de que he trabajado muy contento con ellos porque ellos siempre tienen un trabajo estable para nosotros.
Gracias,
y uno de los puntos más importantes aquí es que cuando empezamos esta compañía, todo era limpio, todo lo que teníamos, lo que traíamos era limpio. Ahora tiene más del 50% de basura. Tiene
Gracias,
llantas,
necesitamos interpretar, lo siento.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
He wrote it down, so I'm gonna
Oh, that's great,
grab it.
okay. Thank you. If you could get closer to the mic and perhaps pull it to you. Yeah, thank you.
My name is Jose Villa, and I have been a member at CWS for more than 20 years, where I've worked as an equipment operator and also a longtime resident of San Jose. As a longtime employee, this job has allowed me to grow and make it a career. I started as a sorter and worked my way up as an equipment operator, making a fair and liable wage. At my age, to start over with another company is going to be really hard for me. Being a local resident, I know I have stability and I have loved working for a family that is committed to create stable jobs for people like me. We work hard, and today nearly 50% of the material we have and sort in garbage has batteries, diapers, needles, and so much more. I need to make a correction. Before that, he said that when he started working for CWS, the material was clean, and now it's nearly at 50% of the material has garbage. I ask you to extend CWS's contract and allow me to keep working there.
Thank you. Gracias. And after our next speakers, Pedro Cortez, Dam Trong, Phong Nguyen, Liam Pham, and Jose Ceballos. Welcome. Hi.
Good evening, the council's member and mayor. I'm here. My name is Trang. I'm here today because I believe that CWS should be awarded with the contract extension because CWS has done the work. They has met the same terms and price as other recyclers, and they has negotiated fairly. And even though CWS has a hard job because of the contamination between the garbage mixing with recyclers, and because CWS even has a higher labor cost. I want, not only that, CWS also make me feel like this is a community because I want to feel welcome. I want to feel welcome. This is CWS is Vietnamese community and the minorities. We all work. We just want to work fairly, and we hope that CWS hope that we can continue to work just to clean the city. And that's all for today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Welcome, sir. After our next speaker is Cristina Barraza, Jose Barraza, Tu Phan, Lin Ku, and Benny Lee. Welcome.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Francisco Molina.
Gracias. Un minuto. Gracias. Okay.
Is it best to do it in sections as opposed to having to remember everything they say? Have it
Would you
written
like a pen and paper? Would that help to write down?
I have
Yeah, it'd probably be best if we just did it one and then the other.
Okay.
And well, just that way we can try to keep everybody in a minute. Thank you.
Mi nombre es Francisco Molina. Estoy trabajando para California Waste Solution aproximadamente 18 años. Anteriormente he estado trabajando en reciclaje en San Jose con otras 2 diferentes compañías, pero con California Waste Solution estoy muy a gusto y gracias al trabajo que ellos nos brindan podemos sobrevivir en esta ciudad que es muy cara y podemos mantener nuestras familias y también a nuestros padres que están en diferentes países y quisiéramos el apoyo de ustedes para seguir trabajando por 15 años más con ellos y de ustedes depende el futuro de nuestro y de nuestras familias. Muchas gracias.
Thank you again for helping here.
No problem. Just, I'm going to paraphrase in
Yeah.
some cases, okay? So it's not verbatim. My name is Francisco Molina. I have worked for 18 years for California Waste Solutions. Prior, I've worked for 2 other recycling companies, one in Sunnyvale. I'm really happy working for CWS. Thanks to this company, I can support my family and specifically my parents that live out of the country. It's really expensive to to live in this city. So I ask you to extend CWS's contract for another 15 years and allow me to keep my job.
Thank you. Gracias. Welcome. Hi. Could you please tell us your name when you get to the mic?
So, dear Mayor Sam Ricardo and dear all the council and participants, my name is Kim Chitran, and you call my name a while ago.
I see. Thank you.
Yes, and I want to point out the fact that California Waste Solution has been with us since 20 years, and we are proud that our city is Silicon Valley, so the sun city, so the sun never go down, and it is for all the ethnicity, all the minority, and since our Civil Rights Act 1964 with Dr. Martin Luther King, and since with our Hispanic community, so labor law, Mr. Cesar Chavez, and now we come since 1975, and we want to contribute, and we ask to extend our contract because this is our constitution. It's equal opportunity for all and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Jose Barraza. I speak by myself here. I speak for over 100 persons, employees at CWS. I've been employed for CWS for almost 20 years. And I lost employees, I believe in the mission in the company, and my concern about this contract, having to start over an entire new company and at my age. At a new company, my job will not protected, so ask you guys treat CWS fairly and keep CWS contract by the city. And please keep our jobs together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, can I speak Vietnamese?
Yes.
Get a translator. Có thông dịch Việt. There we go.
Thank you.
Dạ, tôi xin chào hội đồng thành phố San Jose.
My greetings to the city council and the mayor.
Tôi tên là Linh Cù.
My name is Linh Cù.
Tôi làm ở California từ năm 2002 tới bây giờ cũng được gần 20 năm.
I've been working for CWS since 2002, and it's almost 20 years now.
Và mà mấy năm đầu thì công ty CWS Recycle rất là tốt.
And for the first few years, CWS was doing a fantastic job in their recycling responsibilities.
And mấy năm sau thì sau vài năm cái phế liệu nó không có được tốt, nó rất là tệ. Chẳng hạn như tả của người lớn, tả của con nít và súng, đạn, rồi thức ăn.
And in the later years, the qualities of the recyclables have starting to decrease, which including items like baby diapers, adult diapers, guns and ammunition.
Đạn, người mìn tự chế và kim chích rất là nhiều.
And there were explosives and also medical needles that were included in those recyclables.
Yeah, nhưng mà chúng tôi làm rất là cực khổ tại vì cái công ty CWS
and we continue to
trả
work.
lương rất là cao, với lại đủ lo cho gia đình và bảo hiểm tốt. Tôi rất cần cái công việc này, xin hội đồng thành phố cho California chúng tôi tiếp tục cái hợp
We
đồng
continue to work very hard for CWS, who is trying to keep up with the qualities. At the same time, they were providing us with good wages and insurance so that we would be able to provide for our families. And I'm hoping that the mayor and the city council would consider keeping CWS so that we can keep our jobs.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Come on.
Hi, my name is Benny Lee. I wrote a whole bunch of notes, but I'm not going to talk about the notes. I looked at the data that was provided by staff, and it's very one-dimensional. You can't really make decisions off that, right? And it doesn't really sequence the process that was afforded with CWS. When you take a look at the information, I didn't see any information that measured the diversity of the people who are working for Green Waste Solution, Green Team. I know about the diversity inside CWS. When you take a look at it, they don't only have a diverse staff in terms of their ethnic diversity. You take a look at the language that they're talking about, they're serving the people of San Jose. When you take a look at the leadership, that is the same. The leadership was the one that came up to do the translation. You want to recognize a pillar of the community, recognize Cal Waste Solutions. Because of what they've done to recognize the challenges that people have, they recognized the challenges that they came as refugees to America. And they are the American dream, and they are ensuring the American dream for everybody who's in here.
Thank you.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Cristian Barraza.
Un minuto, por favor. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Tengo trabajando en la industria del reciclaje por más de 25 años. Y lo que nadie ha mencionado es que muchas veces ustedes piensan que una propuesta es por porcentaje, pero ustedes no se pueden ver las compañías y ellos tienen unión que respalden a los trabajadores. Es lo único que no se me hace justo, porque nosotros tenemos mucho tiempo trabajando y tenemos que tener la seguridad de tener un trabajo digno con las prestaciones que se requiere para poder vivir aquí. Es todo. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, señor.
Good night. My name is Cristian Barraza. I've been in the recycling industry for 25 years. What I believe everyone has failed to mention is that not every company provides union jobs. You guys are focusing on a percentage of recyclables, but need to focus on not every company, it's union. And in order to live in this city and have a fair, sustainable life, we need union jobs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Pablo Portillo, Lloyd Pham, Hector Sapien, Quang Le, Miguel Vargas, Rogelio Campos, Jorge Hernandez, Jose Villa. I'll take anybody who comes first. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Trung Vũ. I'm the Vietnamese community leader. I have a question. That is, in San Jose, we have 4 companies that is taking care about trust. But does have 3 companies don't need to bid again, and that CWS have to bid again. That is the question from me. And when that's Mayor Sam Licado run for the mayor, he has 10 commitment to promise to our community. He said that he want to raise up the Vietnamese community, and why that's to be treated unfair. That is the reason why I'm wearing the. Okay, so that's it. I want mayor and
thank you, sir.
council member.
Sir,
that's
thank you.
treat.
Your time's up. Thank you.
To be fair.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Your time's up, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Council member, and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hung Lai. I'm General Secretary of the Coalition of Nationalist Vietnamese Organization of Northern California since 1977. I graduated from the U.S. Naval Postgraduate School in 1975. I continue to do the TED Festival for 32 years in volunteer. Today, I just want, first of all, I would like to say thank you to all of the U.S., to the San Jose city, to all of the U.S. citizens already welcome us, not for me, but for my family and my own people in supporting us. And the purpose of the address today, we would like to ask Mr. Mayor and all of council members do the fair treatment with the CWC. And I believe that working together and supporting each other, we will build the best city, San Jose city, in the whole world. Thank you very much.
Come on, thank you. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Hector Sapien. I work in California Waste Solution. So I live in San Jose for more than 33 years. So I want to keep in my job because my family goes to school. So I want to work in California Waste Solution. Thank you.
Thank you. After our next speaker will be Ana Martinez, Joel Gomez, I believe it's Martin No, Jose Barraza, I think I just read that card, but it's come up again, Lin Ku, Trang, Lillian Dang, and Kim Chi Tran. Hi. Hi, Joel.
Thank you, Mayor Liccardo. Good afternoon. My name is Joel Corona, and hello, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and executive staff. I'm with California Waste Solutions again. My name is Joel Corona. I wanted to come up to just share with you that CWS has enjoyed a very robust and a very successful negotiation with the ESD and its staff and with Deputy City Manager Harkness. We have agreed with all of the terms that are involved with customer service, with all of the terms that are involved with diversion, and the prices that we've proposed are the same and match, and they are at par with our peer. Sometimes a couple percentage points higher, and sometimes a couple percentage points lower, but essentially the same prices. We look forward to continuing this negotiation. We do support Vice Mayor Jones's memorandum. We'd like some clarification about it, but the concept is good. We do recognize we have higher contamination, and that contamination has led to the contributions that we've made to this contract, which address issues of contamination as well as issues of marketability of recyclables. The issues that have come up and that staff has presented about customer service have been resolved. They've been resolved in two ways. They've been resolved in our phone service from the issues we had in August. Our metrics show tremendous improvement back to the performance of excellence. And then also the changes in the contract, the future extended contract, which eliminate non-collection for the contamination which we've had. And the contamination which we've had has been the result of calls.
Stay close. I have a feeling there'll be questions, and you may be called up. But
thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Yeah. Welcome.
Hola, buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Mi nombre es Ana Martínez. Trabajo por West Solution por 6 años. Yo he trabajado en otra compañía before, una recicladora, donde me pagaban 350 a la semana y agarré otro trabajo. Tenía 2 trabajos para sobrevivir. Cuando yo entré a West Solution, mi vida mejoró más. Puedo tener un trabajo, tengo unión, aseguranza para mis hijos. Soy madre soltera, mantengo mis hijos sin otro trabajo. Mi calidad de vida mejoró mucho y a fin de mes puedo estar bien y estar con mis hijos en las tardes, irlos a traer a la escuela. Y es una oportunidad, así es que les pido de favor que piensen en nosotros y nos ayuden a conservar el trabajo. Gracias.
Gracias.
Hello, my name is Ana Martinez. I have worked with California Waste for 6 years. Prior to my employment with California Waste, I had 2 jobs, one at another recycling company, which I only earned $350 a week. Once I began working for California Waste, my quality of life improved because of my union benefits and health benefits. And more specifically, as a single mother, it's allowed me to spend more time with my children and be there to pick them up from school. I asked you all to think about us and help us keep our job. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. After our next speaker will be Quinn Vong, To Nguyen, Venerable Tik Pap Lu, Michael Lei M. Hai, Lan Vu, and Phuc Tran.
Good evening. Honorable Mayor Sam Ricardo, Honorable Council Member, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm Lillian Dang, and I'm a community leader for the Vietnamese Asian American community leaders. I will speak up as the California Waste Solution have been contribute their work and their effort for a long time and contribute to economy for our city, San Jose. I would like to ask the council member and the mayor, please extend the contract and treat them as equally as other company that been signed the contract. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Quinn Vong, and I am the Executive Director of ICANN. We work with Vietnamese children and families. I am here to support CWS, and along with my Vietnamese American community members. I would like to ask that the city accord them the fair treatment that they deserve and renew their contract, because they are honest, caring, and hardworking folks. And they really support the community too. What I've seen and what I've heard so far lead me to believe this. All of this thing about, high contamination and non-collecting notice, all of that is a direct result of the housing crisis that we have. When you have people on the street, you have trash on the street. When you have 3 or 4 families crowding under one roof, you're gonna have a lot more trash. And if the trash bins, the recycle bins don't change, whatever trash that cannot fit into the trash can, they put into the recycle bin. So this condition was not there 15 years ago when the contract was signed. This all came down on all of us just the last 5 years. So please work with CWS to figure out a good solution so they can continue to serve our community. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, and good evening, Council member. My name is Phúc Trans. The reason I'm here to support the CWS, the only minorities owned recycle company in San Jose. I only want to ask you to treat CWS equally and fairly, just like the other recycle company in San Jose. I also want to ask you to extend CWS contract, because I believe CWS deserve it. Thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, sir. I have Phong Nguyen. Again, it's Phong Nguyen, Van Nguyen. David just spoke. Jenny Doe, Hung Lai, David Erhausen, Jeffrey Buchanan, I believe it's Eloy Rodriguez, and Ki Lai or Ki Lee. Welcome, sir.
Dear Mayor and on City Council member, ladies and gentlemen, I am Thong Nguyen Tân, a resident of the San Jose City. My opinion is we need a fair trial for community responsibility for dealing with the garbage, public sanitation. In any case, we require you to be fair in dealing with the contract. We cannot approve this company without allowing another company to renew the contract at maturity. We expect you to have the transparency, and we are waiting for your right decision. Please, don't forget that all the workers in CWS are not only Vietnamese. They are also Mexican, Cambodian, Chinese, Latino, etc. Remember that all the reasons you show to be rejected are not acceptable, are not reasonable, that are not fair, both of you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
We are the minority community, but
sir,
we contribute to this.
Thank you, sir.
But we are not receiving enough benefit.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here. My name is Key. I'm a self-owned security surveillance business. I've been providing security surveillance business for CWS for the last 15 years. In the last 15 years, California Waste Solutions been doing a very good job, excellent job, tremendous good job, and I believe that they should get a minority business very fairly, treat them very fairly, and I should like City Council and Mayor extend their contract so that we can provide the better service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. David Erhausen, Political Director of the South Bay Labor Council, representing over 100 unions and over 100,000 working men and women in Santa Clara County. The city needs to make sure that it supports the members of the Teamsters and the other hardworking men and women that do our waste services by continuing to maintain the good wages and benefits that are negotiated under the current contracts. As such, I urge you to direct staff to continue negotiating with California Waste Solutions for 30 days. CWS is a good employer. Their employees have representation on the job and are paid wages above the city's living wage. Let's give them more time to come to a satisfactory agreement with the city, and to please support Councilmember Arenas and Jones in their calls to include in the RFP language that the labor peace and employee retention provisions of the city's living wage apply, and that will create a point system to incentivize good quality jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jeffrey, I'm sorry, just one moment. Let me just call a few more names. Vinri Ma, Ruby Dodge, Nguyen Long, or Long Nguyen, Louis Pellegrino, Dennis King, Jim Chin Nguyen, and Na Nguyen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and Council, you have before you a very complicated issue, but let's remember that stagnant wages for blue-collar workers continues to be amongst our most trying challenges as a community. As we look at this issue, please continue to look at the welfare and the well-being of these workers. Particularly like to thank the number of folks on council that recommended giving CWS and staff another 30 days to negotiate, but would encourage council to support Vice Mayor Jones and Councilmember Arenas in their recommendations for including the city's living wage policy around labor peace and worker retention within a future RFP, and looking to promote prevailing wage jobs within a future RFP, either under a point system or under additional requirements. In the past, this council has taken the strong steps, including in the Recycle Plus contract, to promote good quality jobs. And we're all hearing what's happened, a very low wage job of sorting recyclables. You have a number of folks that have been able to continue to live in San Jose. So let's be strong and think about wage standards and job quality as we move forward in this work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and fellow council members. My name is Louis Pellegrini. I'm president of Garden City Sanitation. On behalf of my partners and our employees, Teamster drivers, mechanics, customer service, we are proud to have been providing service to the City of San Jose residents since 2007. We went through a rigorous process with city staff over the last year to come up with the term sheets that are in front of you tonight. For Garden City Sanitation, we believe it's covering all the needs that staff has represented that are of concern to the city. We will live by those, what we've agreed to, just like we've provided service in the past that we think is of the highest quality. And we want to compliment city staff for a rigorous, fair, transparent, open, and accomplished negotiations to get what's in front of you tonight. So we're asking for your support at a minimum moving forward on the recommendation to extend our contract. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Dear Honorable Mayor and City Council members, I'm Nga Nguyen, representing Vietnamese American Chamber of Commerce. I'm here to voice my chamber's support for California Waste Solution. I understand that if CWS loses its contract, so there will be about 300 people will lose their job. And it's not just the contract issue, it's about real people with their families depend on their jobs and the economic impact of job loss to our community. I would like to ask City Council and staff to consider carefully your decision to CWS so people lives not get negative impact and jobs are protected. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and executive staff. I'm Jim Nguyen. I'm Director of Vietnamese American SBDC and Business Advisor for Silicon Valley SBDC. You know, Steve Jobs started Apple in his garage. David Jung and his family started his business on the Hart Street of San Francisco in the Tenderloin. As a college student at the University of San Francisco, I ran into David on the street. I will never forget that. From those humble days, CWS has expanded to Oakland and San Jose. Today, they have prospered into an iconic company in our community. Not bad for a family that escaped Vietnam on a boat and started the recycling business on the street of San Francisco. This is an American dream story of perseverance, courage, and luck. In considering CWS contract, I urge you to walk in their shoes. Ride with them on their pickup. Smell what they smell. Pick out the contaminants with them. Treat them fairly and honor their work and their contribution to the city of San Jose and their community. Thank you.
Welcome.
Khi ông thông dịch đó, ông cho người ta nói 1 phút trước rồi sau đó ông làm nha.
Xin chào ông thị trưởng
Nói trước 1 phút nữa.
và chào tất cả các quý vị đồng hương hiện diện.
Well, a greeting to the Honorable Mayor and to council members and to our compatriots.
Tôi là một người Việt Nam đã có quốc tịch Mỹ trên 40 năm rồi và tôi sống ở San Jose này trên 20 năm. CWS là một nhà thầu rác mà không những cá nhân tôi và rất nhiều đồng hương ở đây tôi muốn nói là người Mỹ sống chung quanh tôi đều rất thỏa mãn với cái công tác mà họ đã có.
I was even, although I was born in Vietnam, I've been a naturalized U.S. citizen for over 40 years, and I recognize that CWS has been a wonderful company, and on behalf of some of my fellow countrymen, by which I mean fellow Americans here that have recognized the good work that CWS has done.
Và sự hiện diện của tất cả các đồng hương Việt, Mỹ của chúng ta ở đây đều xin ông thị trưởng và tất cả các quý vị có thẩm quyền tiếp tục cho contract để CVS tiếp tục phục vụ chúng ta rất tốt. Xin cảm ơn tất cả.
And on behalf of fellow Vietnamese Americans and Americans, and I would plead with the mayor and council members to continue to award CWS a contract so they can continue to provide wonderful and excellent services to our city. Thank you.
Thank you. After Dennis King is To Nguyen Tan, Stuart Chen, Trong Vu, Dang Nguyen, Tam Nguyen. I believe I saw the council member a minute ago. Actually, it was before the break. Is he still here? Oh, great. Welcome, council member. Eloy Rodriguez, Tracy Adams. Hi, Dennis.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Dennis King, Executive Director of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Silicon Valley, and of the Small Business Development Centers that serve the small businesses of this city and beyond. Mr. Mayor, welcome back. I hope you didn't bike here tonight. Let me say that our main point, our number one point that we ask, that we urge you to please, in good faith, direct your staff to continue negotiations in a manner that is fair, transparent, and consistent with similar contractors. That's the core message. We saw that reiterated very eloquently in a memo that Vice Mayor Chappie Jones has put forth. We completely support that spirit and the intent of that particular memo. This morning, your Public Works Department, for the first time in years, had a contract opportunity event to encourage San Jose-based businesses to do business with the city of San Jose. We, for years, have been asking for and advocating on behalf of women-owned, minority-owned, and veteran-owned businesses to do business with the city of San Jose. You have one of those minority contractors before you today. Please understand that that's a role model. The issue is even bigger than just them. It's a testament in terms of how you treat them and how you welcome all the other small businesses that might have the opportunity to work with you. Please treat them with fairness, consistency, and transparency. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Good evening, dear the mayor and
council member. California Waste Solution provide excellent services, and they meet your qualification. So please accept it to California Waste Solution to continue the contract in the near future. And please don't discrimination with minority business group in San Jose. Please vote correctly and fairly. Thank you for your concern.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Stuart Chen, and I'm a former council member for the city of Alameda. I drove 2 hours in traffic rain because I want to make sure that this council understands the gravity of the decision you're about to make. This will send shockwaves, repercussion all the way up to North Bay. This company, California Waste Solution, has been in this Bay Area for about 3 generations. They're not only do they have a humble beginning, but also they are committed to protecting some of the assets, our assets in the Bay Area, our youth, our interns. They have supported many, many internship programs. They have contributed to a lot of nonprofit and charitable organizations. I've seen it firsthand. When I was on the council, we dealt with waste management. We dealt with recycle services. So I know some of the impacts, some of the rates, some of the contracts that you currently are dealing with. But I've also been a user. I own properties in San Leandro, in Oakland. I have had the pleasure of working with California Waste Solution. They are not only competitive, the rates are on par with some of the services in the Bay Area. I know it's not easy to do what staff are recommending. I know it's not easy to reject what they are recommending, but it's the right thing to do. You got to look at the current diversity. As a council member, you encourage, given a minute, you're encouraged to provide diversity, and you encourage diversity on businesses, and you have one that's here, been in the Bay Area for 3 generations, and what you are doing, what you are going to decide tonight.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Councilmember Tam Nguyen, welcome back to City Hall. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Mayor and Vice Mayor and Council. And my honor to be here as a concerned citizen. It's a very complicated issue. I appreciate staff doing great work, except there's a couple of things I want to shed light on. One is the issue of contamination. We contract one thing, but when we get the work with different things. So therefore, I ask Council and the staff to address the issue. We never address the issue of contamination. So that was number one. Number two, we never talked about who the company is. Look at, that's what the company is about. San Jose is compassionate. San Jose, we spend great effort to help the homeless, to help the undocumented. We don't want 300 employees to be homeless. So therefore, I urge Council to continue to give the ethnic minority opportunity to work to address the real issue of the create the problem, which is the contamination, and we never address it, we never enforce it. So therefore, I appreciate the leadership of the Vice Mayor and even the memo by colleagues, Councilman Johnny Camus and Jimenez on asking staff to continue work on this, address the issue, and allow the community to be treated fairly because we are San Jose.
Thank you very much. Tracy, if you could just give me one moment. I'm going to call a few more names. Gong Bang, Kim Chi Tran, Emily Finn, Victor Young, Christina Young, Ha True.
Good.
Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome. Welcome back, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Council members, thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Tracy Adams. I'm the Co-Chief Executive Officer of Green Waste Recovery, the largest and longest-serving member of the Recycle Plus community in San Jose. I want to take a couple minutes to thank staff for all the work they put into this. We have been working on this for a very long time. Let's just put it that way. We've gone through many iterations. All 4 companies and staff has delved into this deep. I think that they've come up with a good solution to try to balance out some of the concerns with contamination and how they're measuring things. I think they've been very considerate in looking at how this program can work for everybody going forward. I want to thank the staff for the recommendation to continue the negotiations with Green Waste. I think, as you all know, we currently are the only provider that touches every home in the city. We're currently responsible for approximately 80 to 85% of the diversion coming out of the City of San Jose's residential program. We'd like to continue to do this. We'd like to continue to innovate in the City of San Jose, and we'd like to continue to be great community partners. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councilor. And I don't have 1 minute, so I cannot say congratulations, you come back to work and for the mayor. So my name is Ha Trails, and I have been in San Jose 1984. I worked for Intel almost 30 years. Whatever computer is in my hand in that too, and my brand in that. Okay, the problem is, I stand here as a customer. I'm not any side, okay? But after, from 1984 until now, all West community, I never complain. But lately, most Vietnamese, population Vietnamese in San Jose, very large. So they need California waste solution to help them and solve them in problem. And I would like ESD, please survey, reconsider, make sure we do the right thing. And
thank you, Mr. True.
Like you see, all Vietnamese here is expect my option.
Thank you, Mr. True.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Who would have thought your first or second meeting would be such a big meeting? This obviously has been going on for many, many years. I'm with Green Waste Recovery, following Tracy Adams. He covered a lot of the stuff that I wanted to say, but I really wanted to extend the appreciation to staff because I think both in their staff report and in the last 2 years of negotiations, they've done a really, really good job of taking what were very disparate and unequal agreements and bringing those together, and really doing that in the best interest, first and foremost, of the ratepayers, second, to the city, to shift risk onto the contractors, and still hold us to our low pricing. So I really want to commend the city. We've been servicing the City of San Jose for more than 25 years. We're the longest waste hauler contractor that the city has. We want to continue, obviously. We look forward to continuing to develop these agreements. Also wanted to make a couple of points. We are behind the scenes. The things that most folks see on the streets is our claw loaders picking up yard trimmings loose in the street. But what most people don't know is that we actually handle about 85% of all of the residential waste coming out of the entire City of San Jose, multifamily waste and single-family waste. We process all the garbage. I know there were some comments made earlier about really closing the loop in environmentalism, and you guys have taken leadership where 100% of the materials that are disposed by residents are processed. And you have a really good suite of facilities here locally. We want to continue that. We want to continue the innovation. We want to bring our private investment to help to bring the city to the forefront, really, of innovation, of the green vision, of environmentalism, keep our rates low, and we really look forward to working with staff. Thank you so much.
Good evening, honored mayor and council member. My name is Victor Duong. I'm a vice president of the company. I'm here with my employees, also with my community, asking for your continued support, our local minority business. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank you, thank you, America, who give us opportunity to be here for freedom, for our life. We believe on the fairness, and we also believe on American dream. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Hi, Christina. Can I ask you wait for just a moment? I'm going to call a few more names. Okay. No, if you Frank Himentel. Minh Nguyen, Dao T. Phong, and Nancy Avila. Thank you for your patience, Christine. Thank you. Thank you for your patience, Christine.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. My name is Christina Duong. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for California Waste Solutions. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our community, the Vietnamese media, who are here to show support for us tonight. We also like to thank to our employees who are all here tonight, who are worried about losing their jobs. I'm going to ask that our employees and our community please stand up so the mayor and council can recognize us tonight. Mayor and council members.
We need to hear the speaker. You can stand, just don't cheer. We need to hear the speaker.
We ask that you please treat us fairly. Hold us to the same standard, not any more special, and allow us to continue servicing the city of San Jose. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you.
Hi, man, City Council. I came up here because my mom, she's sitting in a wheelchair and then she's 90 years old. And I think CWS they did a very well job. Because I live in a very bad neighbor. Nighttime we pour the recycling outside, and in the morning they fill up with all the garbage. And that's why we can share with the mayor and the council. They did a very well job, so please treat them fairly with the CWS. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for having us here. My name is My Nguyen, Executive Director of Vietnamese American Business Association. Vietnamese American Business Association has established in San Jose since 2011, and CWS is one of our members. And David Young is a big brother, the leader of Vietnamese American business community. We hope CWS is treated fairly, since every business should be treated equally when they are doing business with the city of San Jose. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Nancy.
Mayor Ricardo, I wish you a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
Council member, Business Sense tell me that contract is offer award based on a number of factors, two of which I would like to highlight. Competitive pricing. So please evaluate CWS pricing using the same pricing structure formula that you use to evaluate other business like CWS, particularly in the employee compensation package. Quality service. CWS performance should not be measured based on the number of customer complaints, but it should be based on the valid customer complaint. Recycling is a collaboration effort between resident, city, and CWS. It starts with the education from EDS, doing the right thing by the resident, hauling tightly and accordingly by CWS. San Jose is a city with great leadership. As a business advocate, I am counting on all of you, your leadership and your commitment to support minority business and doing the right thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think I've called all the cards. Now I say I think because I know my pronunciation in Vietnamese is far from flawless. So I'm going to ask Councilmember Diep if he could announce this in Vietnamese, that if you have not spoken and you'd like to speak, please come to the front of the stairs. Sir, I'll get to you in just a moment. I'm just going to put out a call for everyone here.
Nếu có ai muốn phát biểu nhưng chưa có cơ hội phát biểu thì xin đứng xếp hàng dưới đây và chúng tôi sẽ xin chị xuống đây xếp hàng, sẽ có người và nếu cần có thông điệp viên luôn.
Okay, and then I've also got cards just now from Tina Pham, Wampinal, and I'm going to actually give this card to Councilmember Depp in a moment to read and ask for that person to come down. Y si no ha hablado, pero quisiera hablar, por favor, venga por el frente aquí. Gracias. Welcome, sir.
Good night, everybody. My name is Juan Pinal. I'm working for the last 19 years inside California Waste. So almost the same time I come from Mexico. So thanks CWS, I'm support my family, my daughter, my stepdaughter, my stepson. But this is my family too. So I wanted to you make this family stay together. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Ông mời xuống, nhưng mà ai có ai tên là Trần Thị Công Tăng tôn nữ Mai Khanh? Vâng.
Okay, come on.
Hello, good evening. Sir the Mayor, Sir all the Council, and all the Master, and the gentlemen. I am Vietnamese. I would like to present my idea in my language in Vietnamese.
Oh, yes, we'll have a translator here for you, sir.
Tôi tên là Nguyên Phong.
My name is Phong Nguyen.
Tôi qua Mỹ gần 30 năm rồi.
I came to the United States about 30 years ago.
Trước năm 1975, tôi là một cựu quân nhân của chế độ miền Nam Việt Nam.
Okay. And prior to 1975, I was a service member of the South Vietnamese military.
Từ nãy giờ tôi ngồi dưới, tôi nghe phát biểu rất là nhiều, thì bây giờ tôi xin nói ngắn gọn thế này thôi.
And I was sitting in the audience and I heard a lot of statements by many other people, but I just want to be very brief.
Chúng ta đang sống ở Mỹ Quốc. Nước Mỹ là một nước dân chủ pháp trị, minh bạch, rõ ràng và dứt khoát.
And the United States is it's a democratic, that has a rule of law system here.
Tuy nhiên, chúng ta sống bên nước Mỹ, chúng ta cũng có nhiều cái lỗi lầm. Thành thử tôi xin nói rõ là nước Mỹ là một nước rất là vĩ đại, và thành phố San Jose là một thành phố rất là to lớn ở trong tiểu bang California.
In the United States, we sometimes make mistakes, and I recognize that the United States is one of the greatest nations in the world, and San Jose is also one of the greatest cities in the United States.
Tôi xin đại diện cho hãng CWS, xin quý vị là từ ông thị trưởng cho đến tất cả những quý vị councilor và tất cả ông bà ở đây, xin tha thứ để cho công ty CWS được tiếp tục cái hợp đồng để mà làm trong công chuyện
On
trong tương lai.
behalf of CWS, I would like to plead with the mayor, council members, and also the executive staff to forgive some of the mistakes that CWS might have done, and to allow them to continue to have a contract to service our city.
Tôi thành khẩn xin quý vị, tấm lòng quý vị cũng rộng rãi và cũng vĩ đại như nước Mỹ cũng như thành phố San Jose, để cho CWM được tiếp tục ký hợp đồng để ấy. Tôi xin đại diện cho tất cả cộng đồng người Việt Nam và công nhân của cái công ty đổ rác CWS, xin thành thật cảm ơn tất cả.
And I would like to plead with your compassion, your magnanimity, and in accepting CWS and allow them to continue to service the city. Thank you very much.
Sir, could we ask you to come back? Thank you.
Good evening. Chào quý vị một buổi chiều tươi đẹp.
And good evening to everyone.
Kính chào ngài thị trưởng Ricardo, trong hội đồng thành phố.
Greetings to the honorable mayor and council members.
Tôi tên là Trần Thị Công Tằng tôn nữ Mai Khanh.
My name is Trần thì công bằng tôn nữ Mai Khanh.
Qua Mỹ này bị rút ruột còn lại là Trần Khanh.
And my name has been shortened ever since I came to the United States to just Khanh Trần.
Đáng lý tôi cũng không nói đâu. Tôi thấy rằng các người Mễ họ nói không được tiếng Anh. Họ qua đây họ làm việc rất là khó khăn.
Okay, actually I was not going to come up and speak up, but I've noticed there are a lot of people of Hispanic background who have come up here and expressed their ideas and opinions.
Tôi muốn chảy nước mắt. Tôi là một người mẹ đơn thân, rây 4 đứa con.
Okay, and based on what I heard from them, I almost cried. And I'm a single mother who've raised 4 children.
Now all my children get married and they grow up. I'm now 72 years old.
Okay. And all
yeah.
That's okay, we heard it. Okay. Yeah.
I remember thị trường đã từng đi lượm rác với tôi lâu lắm rồi, 5-6 năm rồi. Đó, nhưng mà chắc thị trường không nhớ. Thành ra hôm nay tôi tới đây. Tôi chỉ xin hội đồng thành phố và thị trưởng hãy giữ cái company CWS để cho những người này họ được ở lại, họ làm việc và họ nuôi con cái họ rây con cái họ lên được thành người để giúp cho cộng đồng sau này. Tôi xin hết lời.
And Mr. Mayor, and I think you may not remember, and you and I have provided community to service by picking up trash and such, but tonight I'm here to plead with you and council members to retain and keep and allow CWS to continue to provide services to the city so they can provide jobs and so their employees would be able to provide for their families and raise their children to be contributing adults to the community. Thank you.
Cảm ơn. Thank you.
Oh my. Suddenly I feel attacked to stand in front of you asking for this. I found my experience is easy for me to talk with the scouting and parents instead of in front of you. So I need your support by smile with me. Thank you. Dear Mayor and all council members, my name is Tina Thuy Hằng Pham. I am a scouter of the Boy Scout of America at Silicon Valley Monterey Bay Council. I support CWS California Waste Solutions because they have been doing very good job. Without their service, we scouting cannot have a clean meeting place and healthy camping environment. So I am asking for your support extending their service, the service of CWS. Thank you very much for your time and patience.
Welcome, please. Good evening. Nice to see you.
Good evening, Mayor and all council member and all our Vietnamese community back there. I'm come here 1:30 today. Until now, it's almost 8 o'clock. But the end of time, I still have a lot of energy to support our community, Vietnamese community. And truly, I don't feel tired. So my name is Vân Hằng, and I'm a reporter and journalist writing the Vietnamese magazine, Sống Thần Online and Modern Life Weekly Media for our Vietnamese community. And I would like to urge you guys, Mayor and council member, to vote for to keep the CWS company, to keep the contract and save their service for our community. Because I'm attending a lot of events for our Vietnamese community, and I saw the CWS to service the community very excellent. So please keep the contract and save their work. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Dear Mayor, staff, and Chairman,
My name is Dong Lee. I'm here to not represent anybody, but I'm here to tell you a story about me and my wife. Relationship, we always have a fight, and we always have to work it out. And I have been married for the longest time, and that's the reason why. And I think this problem is like that. That's all I got.
You left us wanting for detail, but we'll take it.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council and all city staff. My name is Frank Trent, and I'm not in San Jose, but I'm the member of the Vietnamese American Business Association, and I involved in my community is over 20 years. And when I go everywhere, Sacramento, Los Angeles, San Diego, Oakland, Hayward, San Jose, everywhere is in our community, in the church, in the temple, and many organizations. It's always, we are proud about California Way Solution and also David Don family. That's a role model. So please, that's a beautiful dream, American dream come true in any family in our community. Please help us to keep that image and that beautiful picture. We really thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, is there anyone else who wanted to speak who did not, or perhaps didn't hear their name called?
Có ai muốn nói chưa phát biểu không? Nếu không thì chúng tôi trở lại bàn thảo trên hội đồng thành phố. I think we're good.
All right. Well, I wanted to say thank you to the very many patient members of our community who sat through the last, 7 hours or so to get here. And we appreciate, we know these meetings are long. You feel our pain. I also want to thank everyone on our staff who's worked so hard to get us to this point. And certainly Carrie and Valerie and Kip and everyone on the team, just really grateful. I know there's been a lot of hours and a lot of, I think you said 50 meetings, I believe, Carrie. That's no small amount. And I know there's a lot of work that goes into each one of those meetings. So we know it's difficult, but it's important, and important things are often difficult. I recognize also that there are many people in the audience whose livelihoods depend upon CWS, and that they've been a good employer to many. I appreciate that these issues are not simple, but nonetheless, it is our final obligation to represent our residents, and that includes many employees, certainly at CWS, but also it includes, of course, the more than 1 million residents who are served by our haulers and our recyclers. And so as we consider these needs, I appreciate all of the ideas that come out in various memoranda. I believe that Vice Mayor Jones has attempted to encapsulate some of these concepts, including, for example, Councilmember Arenas' suggestions about what to do if we do go out for an RFP and how we will try to protect the workers in various ways. But of course, ultimately, sitting down at the table and giving this another shot with very clear direction that what we intend to get at the end of the day is a deal that's fair for our residents. And I think staff is trying to clearly point the ship in that direction. I think that Vice Mayor Jones's memo points us in that direction, so I'm inclined to support it. But I look forward to the dialogue of my colleagues. Oh yes, so I'll now, thank you. Rick has just reminded me we are bifurcating this motion. We're going to first consider the issue as to CWS, and then we'll consider it as to the other haulers, and hopefully Rick or someone will kick me under the table to remind me after we're done with this very meaty discussion to actually consider the other issue. Okay, so staff, would you like to respond in any way to anything you've heard? So.
No, not at this time. We're open for any
Okay.
questions.
Great. Councilmember Arenas.
Wow. Thank you, Mayor. Didn't expect that. I thought there was going to
Nobody
be
jumped in, yeah.
a really long line of colleagues. Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone who came to speak. I appreciate you sharing some details of your life, your work life, and your personal life balance. I really appreciate that. One of the things that I was thinking about is, you know, I've always I've recognized that I come from a working family, and so I understand these issues very well. And one of the things that I have seen around me is that sometimes the workers are the ones that pay the price when policymakers don't take the steps, make the right decisions to protect our workers. And by that I mean sometimes they put themselves at risk and expose themselves to contaminants and whatnot. And sometimes they spend more time at work. Or like one of the speakers here who said she'll work 2 jobs instead of 1, and now with CWS she works 1. And at the very end of the life of our workers, they don't get to really enjoy this retirement because they're paying the price for that risk that they took early on, and their health deteriorates. Personally, I've seen it. I've lost my parents more than 15 years ago. So I know what that end game looks like. And so I want to make sure that we pay our workers a fair share. That when we send out this RFP, that it has either a prevailing wage or the stipulations that I have in my memo, and that I'm really grateful that Vice Mayor Jones included in his memo. So I have some questions because I've heard from a couple of speakers say that some of the customer service issues might have come up when the bulky item pilot program was happening, and there wasn't maybe enough transition or enough preparation from CWS or recognition of this very popular request to have bulky item pickups. So I'm wondering, Carrie, you're probably the best person to ask on this. Is this more or less when that customer service issues were happening?
The most recent customer service spike in complaints was over the past summer, and the large item pickup, junk pickup, was actually changed to be unlimited the prior summer. So it was more than a year after the program implemented. So it's my opinion that would not be connected. You may recall in March of 2017, we implemented the program, but then we also increased the CWS compensation by 70% to allow them to hire more customer service reps, and that was in response to their complaints, and they're sharing with us that they were struggling to accommodate the program, and so we brought forward a recommendation for an increase to council.
And so at this point, that issue has been resolved. So that could have contributed.
It would have contributed about a year ago.
About a year ago.
My opinion is when this summer, one of the challenges was the volume of non-collection notices would have also contributed to that spike in complaints. But again, I'm not on their side of the phone. That would just be my interpretation of the data that I've seen.
Wonderful. And then the other thing that I heard from a couple of speakers, I think, ones that were representing the company, is that I think at this point, if the diversion rate was what you presented today, Carrie, I think they would be able to meet that. And I don't know who can speak from CWS who can come down and...
I see Joel Corona is getting up.
Joel, oh, there we go.
So is David Young.
And just anecdotally, many of the workers also confirm what we suspect is that there's more contaminants and more commingling there.
The changes in the contract will accommodate the issues of the non-collection notices because they've been eliminated, and that was in part part of the price increase was to accommodate all those. The increase in contamination has been significant over the years and is significantly different than the other district, District B. That has been the majority, caused the majority of the calls. We call them calls because they are let or the result of contamination. And that is a non-issue now. That is a factor that we negotiated along with the ESD out of the future contract. So we've been able to collaboratively accommodate that issue and take that issue literally off the table. There won't be any more calls about that.
Great. So then that remains. Let me take a look. Let me open up Vice Mayor Jones. So if you've read Vice Mayor Jones' memo, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And he has paid for performance. He has timeline. I'm not trying to steal his thunder because this is his memo, but I just want to get some assurance from you that if you adhere to this, and you can work something out within the 30 days.
Councilwoman, we're eager to work something out, and like we shared earlier, all the terms of the agreement have been agreed to, and we were party to leading the changes of those terms. So customer service is completed, the diversion standard is completed, and we think that the direction of Vice Mayor's memorandum, to echo the Mayor's words, is the right direction and pointed in the right direction. We're comfortable with that.
Absolutely, I agree with the Mayor as well. I think, that there's two things. There's something, I think there's a difference between what we do up here on the dais and then what department staff do to get a competitive and fair RFP out. And part of, I think, and I want my colleagues to think about this, is when we think about displacing workers, when we think about unhoused people, protecting these workers is a way to prevent all of that. And I know that ESD, this is not their priority because this is, you're not up here on the dais, and you want absolutely a competitive RFP. I certainly wouldn't want a competitive RFP on the backs of any workers because personnel costs will be the main cost. And if people can cut some corners, it'll be on personnel. Oh, it'll go back on the ratepayers. So I'm going to absolutely support this memo once it's moved, and hope that you will keep your word that in 30 days you will be able to resolve all of this, because this has been going on for a while.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And we have excellent employees who work very hard every single day, and we want to protect them too, and we want to maintain our union workforce. They're skilled, highly trained, and highly dedicated to the city of San Jose and to their mission.
Yes, and to your credit, I admire that. I think that it's very valuable to have those protections for workers, and so thank you for being that company. Those were my thoughts, and you can go ahead and take your seat.
Gentlemen, David and Joel, could I ask you guys to sit somewhere close to the front, because I have a feeling we're going to be calling you back a few times. I know there'll be plenty more questions. Thank you very much.
Council, what Vice Mayor Jones has on his memo. Obviously, he was generous enough to include me in his memo, and I'm very grateful. And so I hope that the rest of my colleagues can see this and support it as well.
Right. Vice Mayor Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank staff again. You probably get a lot of thanks for all the hard work. I just know the time I put into this, which is just a small fraction, and then we're talking about hours and hours of conversations. memos, reports, and meetings, and it's very time consuming, it's very complex, and it's very difficult. This really does represent the adage that there's 3 sides to every story. Your side, my side, and the truth. And I found it to be very difficult to really ascertain or get down to what the truth was. And I think both sides had legitimate points, legitimate concerns. And I also recognized staff's concern in terms of performance and customer experience. So I wanted to take all of that into consideration, and that's when I made the decision that we just need to do a hard reset. There's a lot of good work that's been done. There's also a lot of opinions, communication that maybe didn't go the way it should have, and just trying to unwind this is really impossible. So that's why I structured this memo to try to create a framework where staff and CWS could really sit down and have some clear objectives and milestones and measurements that they can go by, and have a conversation and a negotiation that's going to result in an agreement that both parties can live by. I know that there was some discussion, at least I got feedback in terms of having a hard time frame in terms of 3 years for them to meet certain milestones. But we need to have something definitive in the agreement for staff to feel comfortable, for council to feel comfortable, for our residents to feel comfortable that these service level agreements are going to be met. And I have all the confidence in the world that CWS is going to meet those service level agreements, and they're going to perform at the highest level. And we can talk about this 15, 20 years from now. So I'd like to move my memo to...
Second.
All right, there you go.
Okay, I don't know who got the second, but I
Let me
think Vice Mayor Jones got the first. All right, Councilmember Camus.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and I concur with Vice Mayor Jones when he said that we took a lot of time looking at this, and it's nowhere near what the time the staff had to look at it as well. And quite frankly, we've been looking at this problem for a while, ever since China decided to stop taking in, dirty plastic, right? So, stop recycling more of the, taking more of our stuff. And I, in fact, I've actually looked into different ways, wrote a couple memos, one of them even on thermal conversion, and that I'm hoping that we'll look into as we are the innovation capital. Even in the garbage industry, we like to innovate, and I'm hoping that we look at ways that we can recycle our stuff here rather than send it all the way thousands of miles away to be recycled, and then we have to come and buy it back. I'm one of the districts that got a lot of the complaints, but the complaints that come to my office are those large item pickup things and being on hold. Under this new, I know that you guys worked a long time and you were almost at an agreement, right? And under this new agreement, who's going to be picking up those large items?
Councilmember, thank you. Our recommendation is that we bring that solution back to you as part of a separate action.
Separate action.
We really wanted to focus on the residential collection process, as that's the bulk of the work.
Okay, so we're not going to get calls. So they're not going to be responsible for that item. So I won't get those calls.
The current contracts are in place until June 30, 2021. So we have a couple years before we need to take and make any changes to that. So we'll work on that in the near term and figure out if it's the current contractors, a different model, or city staff.
Yeah, and I concur with some of those hold times, and I really appreciate Councilmember Jones's efforts to have some performance measures in place, And I think Councilmember Jimenez and I wrote a memo to go back to the negotiation table. We came up with 2 weeks. I'm okay with 30 days. Hopefully we'll get done in 2 weeks, but I think me and him, I don't want to speak on Councilmember Jimenez's behalf, but I'm going to support the underlying memo currently that's being voted on. I do have some concerns about the 3-year requirements. I know that a lot of these industries borrow a lot of money to buy equipment, and and you can't get a 3-year loan. You know, so I'm wondering. I don't know. Maybe somebody from the industry can come tell me, or maybe Kip. You look like you're raring to go. How would this affect their ability to finance a new piece of sorting equipment or something like that?
Thank you, Councilmember Kip Harkness. My understanding is of the motion, at least staff's interpretation of the motion, is that we would still go ahead to enter into that longer-term contract that goes out to 2036 or whenever it is, because you do need to have that longer time horizon to make the investment. The idea is we'd use that interim period, those first 3 years, to sort of ramp up and guarantee that performance was happening. Ideally, that would be it. We'd have the performance would be happening, and we continue on with the long-term contract. If for some reason in that 3-year period they're not able to consistently meet those performance measures, then we'd have the ability to go back out to a competitive process. But the idea would be that would be within the framework of a long-term contract to allow them to make those kinds of long-term investments.
Okay, well, that's good. That makes me feel better. So you know, you guys decided to go out and extend contracts instead of going to RFP. That was your original intent. Can you tell me why your first intention, and I'm not talking about what the current outcome is, but why did you originally say, let's try to negotiate an extension rather than go out to an RFP? What goes into the thought process? And I'm not talking about CWS, I'm talking about for the whole thing.
As you might imagine, this is a fairly large set of contracts. It's in fact one of, if not the largest outsourced franchise solid waste agreements in the country. And the haulers came to us and they said, you know, we can provide better value because they wouldn't have to bid. They already had existing infrastructure. They already knew the city. They wouldn't have to replace all the garbage cans all at once. They wouldn't have to buy all new trucks all at once. So it was really the haulers coming to us and saying, you know, let's talk with us before you put the bid docs out. So we came to council and council said, yeah, that makes sense to us. Go ahead and negotiate with them. And as long as you would get better value at that table than going out to a competitive bid, then bring back that recommendation.
So I do remember that conversation, and the key word you said there was value. We thought that there was value in the process, that it would actually save our ratepayers money and save your staff time. Am I off base?
We anticipated getting better value than we would if we went out to bid.
Okay, that's the key. And so, you know, I know that this was a large increase on their behalf, but it actually, because they were our lowest cost bidder to begin with, their increase, we're trying to compare them with people who were, or providers who were actually already higher than them, so that the statistics to me were a little skewed against them in their presentation. And I'm very sensitive to ratepayers. I mean, we've had water increases, we've had tax increases, we've had, you know, you name it, we've had it. And I think our community is getting a little fee and tax fatigue. But I think it's important for us to be fair to the competitors. And if we go out to an RFP, do you think that we're going to have significantly lower rates than what's being presented by the 3 other carriers?
The bids as they came in would put CWS as the highest paid. So my opinion is that we would get bids comparable to the others.
To the others,
but
okay.
Part of the bid process is also looking at performance and commitments to customer satisfaction and meeting the contract program requirements.
Yes, no, I'm in total agreement with you on customer service, because that's the number one thing that we want as a consumer of this product, if you will. We want our garbage picked up, and we want our streets cleaned. And what happens to the garbage, most people don't care about, quite honestly. And I have to tell you, the education process in this effort has gone downhill. I mean, I see my own kids putting in pizza boxes into the recycling bin, and I've seen neighbors putting in diapers into the recycling bin. In fact, I've seen dozens of pictures from CWS and others about how people are using these bins as backup garbage cans. And so, what's going to be done about the effort to educate the public on what is recyclable and what isn't?
Thank you. The challenge that we're in is that the haulers have owned that education responsibility since 2007. So as we heard the first speaker today say, they haven't gotten any education on what to recycle and they don't know what to do. That has not been the city's responsibility. That has been the responsibility of the hauler. We heard public comment that it's gotten worse in the last 15 years. Well, again, that's the tenure of the existing contract. So where we are today is to be able to look forward and make things better. Our recommendation is that the city take that responsibility, because we're not seeing that getting done, at least in the large part of the community, done in a way that is producing the desired result. And so we sort of took that off the table so that we could reach an agreement, so we could say, hey, we'll own that going forward. And then that way, if there is more trash in that recycling cart, we're going to pay you more, and we're going to double down, and we're going to change consumer behavior so that we're not paying that extra cost.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. I think it should have been our responsibility to begin with. Education should be our responsibility, and I'm glad that it's back in our hands. I'm looking forward to having a contract that is similar to what the other contracts have, so that we don't have to go out to an RFP, because I think it would be an expensive, time-consuming process, one that may not bear fruit in the end, and that's why I'm supporting the memo from Vice Mayor Jones. And thank you guys for your staff.
Councilmember Diep.
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to thank the folks who turned out tonight, especially members of the Vietnamese community. I'm always gratified to see participation from the Vietnamese community at things with City Hall. This has been probably, for my money, the most vexing vote that I've had to put up with in my short 2 years here. I don't see a way out for me, personally. On the one hand, if I support CWS, I know I will get some criticism for, of course he did. He's sticking up for his fellow Vietnamese business owners. If I, go against CWS, then of course I'm going to get flack for, I'm the last Vietnamese council member on here, and I can't do the one thing of backing the Vietnamese community. And we were supposed to hear this in June. And we've delayed until January now. And that entire time, every time it got deferred, it's been weighing on me this entire half year. And I have a staff member who tells me that I overthink things sometimes and I internalize things. And perhaps that's true. So I'm really trying to just tune out the noise and focus on the signal here. And to me, I have to really look at the facts, look at the objective things before us, and not focus on what I'm perceiving. With that, I have some questions for you, Carrie and Kip. When we first started this, you guys suggested that we go out to bid for all the contracts. That was the original suggestion. We gave you direction, and now you've come back, and your suggestion is extend 3 contracts, but not CWS. And so there's this perception from the community that we are singling out CWS. we are treating them unfairly differently than the other haulers. Can you kind of explain your rationale behind that?
Thank you. So I think we're going to tag team this because, as you mentioned, it's a very complex issue. One of the challenges that we had, predominantly with the pricing, you know, as the CWS executive team noted, we got great agreement from all haulers on the new standards and the new direction, and we feel really positive about that commitment. But the challenge we had around the pricing was the contracts were awarded at a certain price under a set of conditions. And so as Kip and I negotiated to change the compensation structure and the program objectives, the challenge we had is we took contamination off the table. So we said, if you look at the base pricing, the base contamination that we believe there is, and I acknowledge we have disagreement on that, but say, hey, assume it is 32, 33%. The difference in pricing from 32% to 40% is only about $2.5 million. So the price of that excess contamination is $2.5 million. So we were challenged by, well, what is the other $12 million from? And so what we had hoped is we added in local labor indices to take the sort of flex out of that. And then we added in this new standard so we could be more flexible about program materials. And then, yeah, if there is more garbage in the cart, we're going to pay you more, no problem. But then the pricing still came out really high. And so we just couldn't understand that. And we're frankly disappointed by it.
Shall I go on, or do you have more? You go.
Yeah, just very briefly, I think it is, again, agreement with the comments that Joel made. I think we did a very productive set of negotiations. We really worked hard to understand the interests and the concerns that they laid out. And in that kind of framework, you would expect to then value trade. And so they came in as the value player. They are by far the lower cost, and we would have expected them to remain the value player. Kind of an analogy, if I was buying these notebooks from somebody, and I love these are my Shinola notebooks. They're made in America. They're wonderful. And I had a price quote here, and I was getting these notebooks for $10. And then somebody said, oh, we're going to need to get a bunch more notebooks. Well, I might go to Shinola and say, well, what do you want to do? And if they said, well, the notebooks that I've been giving you for $10 are now $16, I might look around and look at other notebooks before I decide to go back to Shinola. And so all that we're saying is not that might not be the right price, but with that much of an increase, we should check and see if there are comparable bids that would come in at the right one. So what we were expecting was an increase. We weren't expecting an increase that large, and we were really hoping to come back to you with a negotiated agreement, because frankly, that's better for everybody and easier. But in good conscience, with that much of a swing, it just didn't feel reasonable given that long of a contract. The two statistics that stick with me is this adds at least $220 million to the existing contract over the life of the contract. And when this is done, my teenage daughter will be 36 years old, right? So it's a very, very significant contract. And I just wanted to make sure that from a professional standpoint, that we were testing the waters and getting the best value we could for the ratepayer. And I couldn't come up here and say that I could guarantee you that this was the best value. It doesn't say anything about the quality of the workers. It doesn't say anything about the rates they're paying. It's just a question of that swing of increase. And all of that could not be due to increases in worker compensation.
So if I recall correctly, CWS was the low bidder at the original bid. They bid, I believe, something like $11 a house. Is that something like... But so they bid something, and now their increase that they're requesting is higher relative to everybody else's increase. So go ahead.
Is this their current?
The original, though.
Right. So they're.
So the numbers don't matter. I mean, that's fine. So, but basically, the point is their increase is greater relative to the other haulers' requested increase. So CWS would say to you that 60% number is a mischaracterization because, in fact, because CWS was the original low bidder, what they're asking for now is simply to be treated on par with the other contract haulers who whatever the number is right now, let's say $15, $16, it's in the same ballpark. So they were coming in really low, and everyone else around them was being paid higher. They want to be paid kind of equal pay for equal work in a sense. So why does that, not connect with you?
Well, it's generally when we're doing these equivalent of sole sourcing, we look to sort of justify and understand the increase. When we do competitive market bids, that's sort of when the numbers come in and we just take the number and we don't drill down into as much detail. I know there's been a lot of talk about the cost of workers and different labor agreements, et cetera. But, in 2006, when the contract was awarded, there were 70 workers, and today there's 54. So that couldn't be the reason either. So there were just a lot of things that were confusing to us. But as we've said, it's not that their number may well be spot on in the market. And if we did go out to a competitive procurement, we would hope that and expect CWS to bid, and it may be that is exactly the right spot, but in terms of the value to the ratepayers and kind of justifying that sole source, we just weren't there.
So CWS has told me that contamination is a big concern of theirs. I believe the city believes contamination is around 30%. I've heard numbers 40% and upwards from CWS. So as a recycler, you take recycling, you go back, you process it, you take what you can, and you sell it. When you're carrying back bins of half recyclables, half organics, half trash, half diapers, there's no profit or less profit to be made in that work. And so they're saying that because the housing crisis, because whatever, we have multiple families living in single-family homes, so of course the trash is going to be greater. We have bigger recycle bins than we do trash bins in most neighborhoods, so they're going to take the excess trash and put it in the recycle bin. Do you take issue with that? Unpack that.
No, that's exactly the new compensation schedule that we came up with. Says exactly that. If there is 40, 50, 60% trash or non-recyclable materials in the cart, we have a scale that says we're going to pay you a lot more for that. And so we fully acknowledge that. We disagree on the current level of contamination, but rather than continue to sort of lock heads on it, we said, hey, let's just have a third party assess that for us every 2 years, and we both agree to live by those results.
So are you saying that because you're paying for the contamination above the agreed percent, that undermines the high bid that CWS put out?
I don't think it undermines it. It's confusing to me.
Because the city should already be covering the excess costs in the contamination.
Well, again, and I think we're in sync on this, we came up with what we thought was a pretty elegant mechanism to deal with the changes or the amount of contamination. And at this point, we differ on what it is, but we've got a way to determine what it is that we agree on. And so let's say it's X. By creating that sliding scale, we take out that variability. By taking out that variability, part of the theory of negotiation and value trading is if I take out something that's a risk for you, there's value that's been created. And so I would have expected some of that value to show up as a lower cost. So if I'm giving you a mechanism to deal with that kind of slide, I would expect that the cost wouldn't be as much because we've now reduced the risk. Mm-hmm. So by taking series of steps to manage the risk, a local indices on labor, a sliding scale, an ability to opt out if the market changes, by reducing the risk on the hauler side, we are in fact taking on risk on the city side and would expect to see that to either stabilize or bring the rates down. And we didn't see as low a rate as we would have liked to see as a result.
Another issue that CWS has shared with me is that we kind of imposed the large free junk item pickup on them. It was supposed to be a pilot program. We ramped up much quicker than they were prepared for, and that's what caused the, I guess, as Councilmember Camas said, most of his complaints are with the junk pickup program. Can you unpack that for me? Do the timelines match up? Do you have a response to that kind of position from CWS?
I think our team felt like we were in good conversation preparing for that. I think CWS has a different version of that, but regardless, last year we brought forward, in response to their complaints, we brought forward a 70% rate increase compensation increase for CWS so that they could hire more customer call takers. They could buy the trucks that they felt they needed. So at that point, we reached agreement that the junk pickup was, they were getting fairly compensated for it, and they would be able to have the resources needed to address that. So more than a year later, I'm challenged to think that's still sort of source of the problem.
I'm also told that on the issue of the long wait times, and I've had complaints, not daily, but frequently in my own district of people saying that too many non-NCNs, non-compliance notices, and I've had to call CWS. My staff has been on the phone upwards of 40 minutes waiting to get through. But it's been explained to me that ramping up for CWS is not an easy thing. They're a union shop. They're the Teamsters, and so they have to hire from a union hall. They can't place a Craigslist notice, or they can't go to San Jose State and say, "Look, come on, we just need to hire more operators." So, are we being sensitive to them in regards to that kind of practical necessity of them being a union shop when we kind of call them out for having long wait times?
Jeff, I'm going to ask you: have we had those kinds of conversations?
Yeah, I believe we have talked to CWS about that, and we have heard the issues with the unions and getting new employees hired.
Okay. As a practical matter, if we go out to bid again, there are folks here that say their jobs are in danger. Now, I understand the pay rate may change, but is it typical for the company that loses the bid to just completely fire all their workers, or does the new bidder or the new contract holder generally take over the previous workers?
There's generally some takeover and transition procedures. Jeff or Chris, are you guys able to?
It depends on what the next RFP, what information's added in there. Yeah, so it.
Okay, it depends on the council direction then. Okay.
Council member, typically in these RFPs, we have worker retention requirements so that if it does go to a new party, there isn't. In fact, that's what happened when CWS originally got the contract.
NorCal, yeah.
Back in 2002.
Okay. And one last thing I want to ask staff about is this concept of district billing and our blended rate. So we have 3 districts across the city, and each hauler has a different rate, but they're close enough that we have a blended rate. So no matter where you live in San Jose, you're paying the same for your trash. Now, with CWS's jump in their bid, my understanding is that we get a situation where one district, A and C, would one of the districts would subsidize the other parts of the city, and that may cause legal hurdles for our blended rate because you would actually have different rates to pay for trash depending on where you live in the city. Is that accurate?
I'm going to try to speak attorney for a minute, and then Mark, if you could help me. It depends on where we land in terms of negotiations, but if there is a big enough spread, then as Prop 218 requires, we'll bill the residents in each district kind of for the service that they're getting. So if it's significantly higher in District A compared to District B, then District A would pay higher.
Excuse me, that's an accurate assessment. I mean, you want to try to have as equal as possible, but there's a lot that goes into the rates, city's overhead, cost for staff, et cetera. So that would be something that would probably merit some additional inquiry and study to develop a rate that would be Prop 218 compliant. Okay.
Mr. David Young, are you still here? Can I ask you a few questions? So I've done my best to try and kind of raise the issues I've heard you and Victor share with me. Is there something that I missed that you want to take a moment to address?
Actually, yeah, you have questioned, many key important. But the answer is we think that if your council and the mayor need to hear an answer from us for respond to those answers.
So just real quick, was anything that staff said in response to my questions, do you find that there's a side to it that you want to share publicly? Is staff answers accurate to your thinking?
Yes.
Okay.
The bookie item that actually started with, and we agreed to, we signed it to and get the price based on a pilot test. And then, and then it becoming a full, just on one Thursday, the city call our, staff and say, take out, your website for full service and pilot staff for the full service. And then, we ramp up. We love that program because that has helped to stop illegal dump. And, but then we're trying to ramp up. And like your council, you just said, that we're going to hide from the union on us. So we actually just slow on those, but we just responded. After September, last year, we up on those. But we want council and the mayor to know at $46 for pilots and becoming full, we're at loss at this time.
Okay, so I have a question for you, and it's in regards to CWS. When was the last time you upgraded your machinery?
We did upgrades as we committed to the city in 2016. Those are significant upgrades that increase the diversion and increase the revealing, the liberation of some clean materials from the residue. That was the most recent event, and we've made many other increases, and we did the largest increase in 2008, which included all state-of-the-art equipment at the time.
So you last upgraded in 2016. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes, we did that.
And what is your output your tonnage output per hour right now? Do you know?
The tonnage output per hour is about 32 to 35 tons an hour. It has slowed down because of the amount of contamination, which has a large impact and a great effect on the productivity per hour.
Are you familiar with the 2015 report on MRFs by Sloan Valdez?
Yes, and we had great exception to that report. And at council meeting, we did respond to metrics that Sloan Vasquez had cited, which we had great disagreement with, and factually was incorrect. And we'll be happy to address that at a different time or when you would like to. Our goal was to help progress and move this forward, but we're happy to address any specific issue that you have that was either mentioned by executive staff this afternoon or any prior report, either by Cascadia Consulting Group or by Sloan Vasquez or anybody else.
So I guess I just want to ask, because for me, if we're going to extend to you a contract for another 15 years, it matters to me because that report, which I flipped through, some things that you can disagree with, but some of the takeaways from that for me was CWS operates at 75% of the expected minimum capacity. So have you rectified that, or do you just disagree with that conclusion from the report?
Forgive me, council member, for not recalling the specific sentences within that, but I'll be happy to discuss with anybody the metrics that were expressed for both productivity, by the facility and also by what's called touch labor hours, as well as tons per person, which were simply incorrect. I don't know where Sloan got its numbers, but they were not reality.
If I can add to that, Mr. Sloan used to work for us. He running that facility, and he lived with the company unhappy.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That's all the questions I have. Just based on what I'm hearing back and forth, I hear the concern on this council for the plight of the workers, what will happen to them, their futures, their livelihoods, their rates of pay. I hear the concerns for the speakers here and the Vietnamese community. I think it's also important for us to be sensitive to the concerns of the ratepayer. And for a commitment of $220 million for 15 years, given that staff is surprised by this number, I don't know that it would be necessarily wrong of this council to go back out and just look to see what's out there. And if CWS can still participate in the bid, is that correct? So we're not disqualifying anybody if we follow staff direction. It's just that I think, owe it to the ratepayers, all of us here, even folks who spoke in support of CWS, would end up paying a higher rate if we kept the contract as is. So I personally am open to, I'm not going to make a substitute motion, but I'm just stating that I am open to going back out to bid because I really want to see what's out there and get the best possible service at the best possible rate for San Jose residents. And I'll yield. or sorry, real quick. I just want to say something real quick. We've heard a lot about fairness tonight, and the fairness is in treating all the servicers equally. When you have bidders bid, and they come in the same place, and there's one bidder that bids much higher, that merits a different response. So I've been listening, I've been hearing a lot about fairness, but I haven't heard that much about responsibility. And I think that as a service provider to the city of San Jose, there is an obligation to provide the service because they are doing it, all service providers are doing it for the city. Just like in the earlier item when we were upset at tow companies that did not tow large vehicles, they are providing a public service on behalf of the city. We should expect our recyclers and garbage providers to go around and collect the trash, collect the recyclables, because it's about keeping the city clean. It's about keeping our streets healthy and clean. So when we have non-collection notices to the rate of what, 4,000 in a month relative to 13 when Green Waste is doing that, that to me is really alarming. And although it's provided in the contract that we can issue NCNs, it's certainly not in the spirit of public service or of providing on behalf of a city. And so I'm rooting for CWS. The Jung brothers have a story that is this Horatio Alger story of coming to America as refugees, building an empire and succeeding, and that is something that we should honor. But we need to do right by the residents as well, and to go out and see what is out there. Quý vị nói nhiều về cái sự công bằng, thì tôi nghĩ bên cạnh cái công bằng cũng có cái vấn đề trách nhiệm. And I'll leave it there for now. But I just think that there's still a chance for CWS to get this contract. We just owe it to, before we make a $220 million commitment. We need to go out and see what's out there. Thanks.
Councilmember Esparza.
Thank you, Mayor. As one of the newest newbies on the council, you know, I've been working hard. My team and I have been working hard to do our due diligence as well. And so I actually wanted to make a couple of points. One of them is I think the numbers do matter, and the ratepayers matter. And so I felt when I heard 60 and 70%, I actually wanted to go and find out more information. And what I found was sort of an apples to oranges comparison. So I wanted to pull apples to apples. And what I found was that CWS is asking for up to $1,510 at the 32% and up to $1,606 at the 40%, which puts them below Green Team. So at their per household service rate. And so and for folks kind of looking around, that's page 2 of the January 10th memo, as well as some additional calls that my staff made. So that was important to me because this was, if I get it right, a contract that was negotiated in 2006, extended in 2011, and now we're here again. And so I felt that responsibility of the ratepayers. I want my residents getting a fair price for services rendered. But when I dug a little bit deeper, I felt that the facts that we dug up substantiated some of the concerns that we heard out there in the community. And so one more thing that I also wanted to point out is the garbage in the recycle bin. So in my district, in District 7, you can go out and you can see parking wars in our neighborhoods, and then you see garbage wars in our neighborhoods. You see neighbors putting garbage in other people's bins. If you drive around on garbage night in District 7, you'll find a lot of interesting things in recycle bins. And you'll see garbage bins and recycle bins overflowing. And that is a result of our housing crisis. In District 7, we have many single-family homes where multiple families live in order to make ends meet. And so I hope that whatever gets negotiated in the future recognizes that reality. And so I could talk all night, but those are some of the issues upon which I base my support for Vice Mayor Jones's memo and motion, and I also thank him for his leadership on this very complicated issue.
I would like to just get some clarification about rates. I know Councilmember Esparza cited page 2 of the staff memo. This is obviously hardly anything staff was keeping hidden. This is the actual numbers of 1510 and 1606 are located on that chart. But Carrie, I was hoping you could inform us what is the comparison to Green Team at the commensurate apples to apples contamination levels.
Thank you. I moved us back to this slide because I think there's an important context that would help us with this conversation. Contamination is one piece of what the haulers do. And as we see in the rate sheets, the cost of contamination is they were able to identify that. But the bulk or a big part of recycler is the trucks, the street collection, the carts, the fixed infrastructure of the MRF, and then they're paying for the extra residual at kind of at the end that goes to the landfill. So as, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, so the extra cost for contamination in the bid docs that we got was about $1 and $1.25 a house. We recognize that there are different contamination levels across the city, and those were in the original bid documents. So the conditions of 32 and 33% were well known when the work was bid. And so that, in our opinion, hasn't changed. I can fully appreciate that in CWS's opinion it has changed, and that's why we moved to a new rate structure and a new model where we could be neutral on that. We wouldn't have to argue about that. We would have a third party come and tell us what contamination was, and then we would move the slide on the scale and pay that additional $1.25 a house if it is indeed a 40% contamination.
Hey, Carrie, Dave Sykes here. I was just wondering, the chart that we put into the staff report on page 5, how does that, how do we reconcile that chart with what the council member had mentioned? So this is on our January 10th supplemental memo. We have a chart on page 5 that attempts to quantify the different prices per household.
Yeah, really, what I'm getting at is this. I think Councilmember Esparza believes, I know genuinely she believes that CWS offered a better rate than Green Team. And what I want to know is, what is the truth from your understanding?
So what I think is missing from this sheet, though, is the matching of the contamination levels. So if I hear Councilmember Esparza, she's sort of saying, hey, she wants to match 32% contamination to 32% contamination. Is that correct? And I don't have that because that wasn't the genesis of the contract negotiations. We can run some numbers to show that, but contamination is just sort of one part of it. And in my opinion, I don't know that
we got these numbers
further.
because we asked staff.
I understand that, and I'm trying to get to a very basic question. Holding contamination levels constant, were the prices offered by CWS better or worse than Green Team?
Well, in my opinion, they're higher.
Right, worse.
Yes. Well, I always think more is worse.
Yes, right. And Could you please explain, it appears that Councilmember Esparza has the opposite impression from her discussion with staff. Is there any additional clarification you can offer about what green team rates might be at similar levels of contamination, holding all things constant? So we're comparing apples to apples. Is there anything you can give us?
Yes, give me a second. So I think if we, look, that is in the attachment of the first sheet. Unless Green Team wants to help me out.
I believe on page 5, as Dave was suggesting,
Yeah, it's not the contamination.
there is a comparison of Green Team and CWS. And I guess the question is can we say that any of those are apples to apples comparisons? That's that chart at the top of page 5.
So we actually can't, and part of the reason we can't say apples to apples comparison is we don't have a bid from Green Team on what their bid would be for that service area. The way to get a true apples to apples comparison around service provision is not to speculate on what they would be if they were at this percentage rate on this chart, but what would their actual bid be for this service area? Because the price that they're paying is not necessarily going to be the same in a bid for that service area. It might be lower, it might be higher. They might value the amount of contamination as a bigger problem or a lesser problem. They might have economies of scale. So what we can't say is what would Green Team have paid for in those same service areas as A and C. What we do know is what Green Team is willing to pay for today in their service area. And we know that the request from CWS is significantly higher for the payments in their service area.
Right.
And that they are increasing overall 60 to 70%, depending on, let's say 60%, because that's the staff assumed number of their rates. And that puts them at a higher per dollar value than what we will be paying Green Team if we negotiate this agreement upon the conclusion of it.
And if we were to make the heroic assumption that a per household rate should be the same in all the service areas, if we were just make that assumption for a moment, what we have is Green Team's bid appears to be, or their negotiated price appears to be, between $2 and $3 per household lower.
Yeah, so and hit me, Jeff, if I'm wrong. So the proposed rate. Is this the proposed rate?
I'll tell you where I got that figure. It's from the Green Team term sheet. So that's where I got that figure.
And that is for their area. So for Green Team's current proposed price would be $13.15. And CWS at the contamination rate that the staff estimates would be $15.10. So the apples to apples of how much are you charging me to pick up my garbage is CWS is more. If you get into the question of what is it at different rates, part of what's difficult about that is I don't actually know what Green Team's proposal would be for those areas at that rate.
But in the term sheet I have for Green Team right here, it says that for the percentage of non-program material above 35.99%, it's $16.15 per household.
Correct, within that area.
Well, and also more than what CWS is charging us.
Right, and the contamination in CWS area we estimate to be 32 or to 33%.
And they're saying it's 40. So I think this is one of the reasons that Vice Mayor Jones is initiating a reset.
Okay, Kip, anything further, or Carrie? No?
That's
okay.
right.
All right, Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the staff for your many, many meetings to get us this far. And I share Councilmember Depp's struggle with this issue and Vice Mayor Jones's struggle to find the true story amongst the the stories that we've received. And for me, it's come down to what do I think is best for the city and the residents of the city. And I think we've come this far with 50 meetings, and there's been a ton of progress on the contract terms. And so I'm going to support Vice Mayor Jones's memo to continue the discussions and just get us over that hump. I am very hopeful that we will reach an agreement with CWS, because from all the discussion that we've heard, from the pricing that we have from Green Team already, it doesn't seem to me that going out to an RFP and going through all that process, which is an expense for us, is going to get us any better terms than where we're already getting toward with CWS, and I think we're almost there. So that's why I'm going to support Vice Mayor Jones's memo.
Councilmember Pross?
Thank you, Mayor. So I too am going to support the Vice Mayor, our new Vice Mayor's memorandum here, and I appreciate your work on it, and echo some of my colleagues' comments and concerns. I may not be as equally optimistic in our opportunities, or I guess in our potential to come to an agreement, but I'm certainly hopeful of that. And I do want to thank not only the community members that came here to speak, but specifically CWS for your many years of service in our city. Given my maybe lack of complete optimism in regards to the opportunities or the potential of reaching agreement, I'm going to bring up maybe another potential topic of argument, which is recommendation 3 from the Vice Mayor's memo that speaks to should we have to go out to an RFP and includes language from Councilmember Arenas in regards to what should those stipulations be. And I don't know if it's possible if we can get that up on the screen. I'll discuss it while maybe we're working on trying to do that. But I wanted to be able to discuss some of this language with specifically the workers that I'm glad are still present here, because I think this speaks to a big concern that we heard from the individuals that are certainly employees and beneficiaries of working with CWS, and specifically being members of the Teamsters. And so in that language, it talks about ensuring labor peace and employee retention, the provisions that we have within our city's living wage policy, that we will ensure that those will apply. And I'm assuming in the motion, it included everything within this memorandum. Is that correct, Councilmember Dennis? So we're still including all this. So I'm just kind of reiterating what's within the language, and you'll see that coming up on the screen. Actually, if you can just focus on number 3, you can kind of move it up and however it may be, but I'm looking specifically number 3. I also like the second portion here, which talks about an addition of points due to really what wages are being offered. As my colleagues will recall, at least those who were here through the discussions the last couple of years on this modified living wage kind of settlement that we came to, that was not necessarily the starting point when we issued these contracts, and that was the sort of the area of much contention over the many years, an area that certainly I had my personal opinion on, and what I had an interest was in preserving that living wage, not necessarily having a modified, but I understood the agreement there and the settlement, but also felt as though if we had an opportunity moving forward with any new RFPs, that we should try to resolve that. And more specifically, rather than the living wage, would be what is commonly utilized within government contracts, which is the prevailing wage. So then that way you're actually comparing it from industry to industry, so within common industry. So I appreciate this, and I would be willing to, to sort of accept that language, given the circumstances we have, especially with a potential, re-upping of 2 contracts, and then this third one going out for RFP. But at the same time, I feel there's an opportunity here with this new RFP that we could ask for, as we could, for a prevailing wage within the contract. So I want to ask the maker of the motion if you would change that language to include that as a friendly amendment.
Councilmember Prost, could I just ask you to restate what exactly you'd like the language to be, just so we all understand? I'm sorry, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, so instead of in item 3B discussing sort of additional points for someone offering say the full living wage versus a modified living wage, that we actually include in the RFP a requirement for the prevailing wage within this industry.
I think the problem is that we haven't done that in other contracts. That would have one contract under one wage. And Carrie Kip, you want to weigh in?
The challenge with that would be it would limit bidders, and the time horizon to build a new facility wouldn't be there. So normally it would take, Jeff, what, 3 years to build a brand new facility? So, so there would be inherent challenges with prevailing wage.
Can I ask a follow-up question? As far as the point system is concerned, would we have the ability to give additional points, say, for a bidder who is offering or paying prevailing wages as part of the point system?
Yeah, our interpretation of the point system would be that you would award points based on wage rates. And so essentially the better your wage rates, that you would get a certain amount of points, say 0 to 5. And that if you had a living wage, it would be X number of points, the prevailing wage would be more. And that would then help even the balance around wages. So back to the prevailing wage issue, you can certainly include prevailing wage in the contract. It was included in the contract that was required of CWS. One of the potential implications of that is limiting people who will bid on it, because the nature of many of these facilities are that they are multi-jurisdictional. And so the complexity is not so much if the facility was solely serving San Jose and requiring prevailing wage. The question is getting somebody with a regional facility to bid where they would then have inequities among their workers, or have cost issues that they would want to either pass on to us or make it prohibitive for them to bid. So it's not an absolute yes, no, you can't do that. It's a policy consideration. We think some of the implications were you would likely get fewer bidders on the proposal.
And I understand that. So and I understand the unfortunate circumstance their way. And I was kind of hoping that if we went out to RFP, we'd go out to RFP with everything, or none, right? And we kind of have an opportunity to readdress this issue. That's not necessarily what we're talking about, and I'm receptive to staff's recommendations that you're putting out. We're not going to get many opportunities or bites at this apple. Again, I'll reiterate. I was reluctant, but accepted the modified living wage as a settlement within sort of our prior discussions. We have it on obviously item 7.3 where we're discussing that, in that opportunity. And I again, I think this is a good step to do so, which is, an addition of points. I think that the reality is being that it is a policy decision. I agree with where the council was at, many years ago when we initiated these contracts, and I have always sort of taken issue with the fact that we have lowered our bar of standards because our neighboring cities have not had an ability to sort of have a higher wage standard for work done for their residents. And so, I voiced that before. So this is an opportunity with this new RFP. I get that it's not perfect, and I recognize that this is an attempt to sort of try to get to that. Nonetheless, I'm asking for that friendly amendment.
So, first of all, I have a desire to see that the existing workers for CWS continue to get paid the prevailing wage, and I would not want to see anything that would jeopardize or cause that to happen, where their wages would be reduced. So that's a very core principle that I have. I also want to make sure that we have a competitive process, that we have bidders who are pursuing our contracts. Well, first, actually, I don't want to ever see this. I don't want to see this scenario, as long as I'm on the council. I want to see CWS work out an agreement and then work that contract for the next 15 years, long after I'm gone and forgotten. So, so that's my number one desire. But I am very supportive of, Raul, what you're trying to do. So what I want to do is offer a compromise in terms of incorporating the prevailing wage in the point system and make it the top, the top point getter for the point system during the RFP evaluation. So hopefully that's acceptable to you.
I will take anything I can get at the moment. So,
okay.
Yeah, thank you. And if I can conclude my comments with just, well, I don't know if the maker of the motion, I think, did you end up making, you seconded?
Yeah, and the seconder was
okay.
To his left, Councilmember Ranch.
You traded, okay, I know initially I got a different maker of the motion. Nonetheless, thank you for that. I think that one of the issues here, and it necessarily hasn't been stated, is that the initial bid made by CWS, in my mind, was woefully underbid. And I think we've been seeing for the last number of years the ramifications of that. And I think where CWS is in the negotiations now is attempting to sort of recoup and say, wait a second, we'd like to be back up to par with our, the other agencies that are doing similar work. And that's where I think some of the contention you hear from my colleagues up here, which is around, hey, are we really going to get much more out of our, much more of a better deal if we go out to an RFP? Is it really going to be a huge dollar amount of savings? Or was there really sort of maybe a bigger issue many years ago, and then now we're looking at, could we find a compromise on the agreement today? Albeit, I recognize where staff is bringing up some very valid concerns in regards to, customer complaints and the diversion rates, and so it's not just plain and simple of what the dollar amount of the contract is. But I do think that that's, to me, that's been a kind of a glaring issue that we have had a company that, and quite frankly, though, they've been doing the work at that dollar amount and making it happen, but I think they've suffered because of it. And I think where they're at now is looking in a opportunity for a re-up of the contract to get back into the competitiveness of it. And I don't sort of necessarily again see that there's a very easy way out of it. But I will agree with Vice Mayor Jones that if we can, that's what this direction will give us over the next 30 days here to see if we can't come to that agreement. So I support that direction, as I said again, but I also wanted to ensure that there are the proper protections in the RFP. It may not go as far as I want to go policy-wise, but I think I appreciate Councilmember Jones. You or Vice Mayor Jones, is there a quarter somewhere?
We'll do that another
thanks.
40 times.
Thanks.
Sure.
So I appreciate that you accepting that. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Crosco.
We're actually going to have a little jar here with the quarters until we get used to it. It'll be an incentive. I'll make my comments very brief. I too will be supporting Vice Mayor's memo. But I do want to just stress the fact that that all of my district is served by CWS. And so I'm very hopeful that this will get resolved in the next 30 days. And I want to be able to also say the following. First, I want to thank everybody that came out to speak and that has waited along with us on this very long afternoon. Y les quiero dar las gracias especialmente a los que trabajan allí en la empresa. Yo reconozco el trabajo que están haciendo y reconozco que es un trabajo bastante pesado y que ha cambiado a través de los años. Y que ahora que estamos enfrentando un momento difícil, aquí estamos para apoyarlos, no para darles, como dicen, en la torre. So I'm going to translate that. And what I just simply said was that we're here to support your workers. And we're here to support your workers because we recognize that sometimes these are very difficult moments, and they're frightening moments to think that during these times you could be left without a job and inability to sustain your families. I didn't say quite all of that, but that's what I meant. And so the purpose here during these difficult moments, it's not to kick you while you're down, I guess. But it's really to figure out how we muddle through this and how we work our way out of this. And so this is long in coming, and I really do hope that we can work our way through it. CWS has had a long history with San Jose. And it's a history that I, as now a representative of the east side of 101, I take very seriously. And I respect it, I honor it. And I know that CWS has had an engaging relationship with our communities in so many different ways. And so I thank you. I thank you for that. I thank you for the support that you've given our city and how you have chosen to participate. I really do. I'm very grateful for that. But at the same time, what I also want you to hear is what the concerns are as we represent the residents of the city of San Jose. And as you know, you serve the east side of San Jose. You're serving one of the most challenging parts of San Jose. Families that are really struggling. These are families who are having to choose whether they buy that extra loaf of bread or an extra gallon of milk. They're having to figure out who gets the hand-me-downs when their older children outgrow the shoes. Which child gets that pair of shoes? They don't have extra money for luxuries. They don't take vacations. They work a second job. So I want you to keep that in mind, that if we are going to raise the rate, then I have to go back to my residents and explain to them why. But then that means that we have to improve customer service. We have to give them something for their hard-earned money. Un intercambio por incrementar la carga de esa cuenta tiene que ser un intercambio por servicios, ¿sí? Porque los residentes que yo represento en el este de San José también trabajan muy duro por el ingreso que ellos se ganan, igual como ustedes. Entonces, cuando uno paga, uno espera algo a cambio de. Y yo simplemente tengo que dar una justificación del por qué. So I want you to hear that I have to be the face that explains to them, because we get the phone calls. And so I want to thank staff as well. Thank you so much, because I know this hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy for anybody. It hasn't been easy for CWS, the owners and their employees, everyone that's come in here today to testify and to speak, and of course for our staff. I know that you're working diligently, and And I want to thank you, Vice Mayor. I feel like I'm talking to myself when I say Vice Mayor. It's very strange, a very strange experience. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your memo, and I want to thank you for incorporating Councilmember Silvia Arenas as well, at least a portion of it. But thank you so much for working through this. I'm very hopeful that in the next 30 days we will have something that all of the city of San Jose, the east side of San Jose, our Vietnamese community, who's very proud of you, very, very proud of you and your legacy, can be very proud of. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Jimenez.
Yeah, thank you. What she said. Really, a lot of things that have been said that I agree with. I'm not going to repeat everything, but I do want to thank staff. I know this has been a challenging process. Talking to you, talking to folks from CWS, it seemed at times for me, and to a certain extent, it still seems to be the same, as that we're talking past each other and everyone's sort of citing different things, trying to get to different conclusions, and it's very challenging to understand and to decipher exactly what's happened and why it's happened, and so that's very challenging for us, I suspect all of us up here. The other thing is I wanted to thank the community for coming out. I appreciate everybody being here. I know it's been a long evening. The question I have is related to, because it seems for all of you that are here, we need 6 votes to pass anything. So if you've been counting the people that are going to that want this extension, I think it's very clear to me, and I think to everyone up here, is that that's the way we're going. And so my questions are related to the direction that's in the memo. And so just so I have a sense of how staff interprets what the direction is that it's essentially to negotiate a price that may be equal to or but not exceed Green Team's current price. Is that, in effect, what you all believe is the direction?
Yes, it's to go back and to essentially hit a strike price that doesn't exceed what Green Team's bid is,
right,
and what the price that we will be negotiating with them to actually pay them.
Correct.
And then also to make sure that we step up into that to prove to the ratepayers that they're actually able to do that. And if should we fail to do that, then we go out to an RFP along those terms.
Right.
So just one commentary, and then I'll turn it back to you,
please.
is that just from staff's perspective and the review of that, those are all terms that we feel create a fair process and that are reasonable from our professional point of view, and we have no issues with any of those from staff side. So those are all directions that we would be able and willing to undertake.
Because I know there's been talk of contamination. I know sometimes in the past tense, past customer service actions or lack thereof and such, but all the agreements and that you've all gotten from CWS and from some of the other haulers, that's all been agreed to. Now it's just boiling it down to the very core. It's just the price. Is that a good interpretation of?
It's very close to being that. These things are always a little bit trickier when you get down to the details in a room, but with 30 days, I believe we have sufficient time to come to a strike price that is good for the ratepayers and fairly compensates CWS, and to check the boxes on all of the other standards, which I think we've gotten, if not 100% there, 95% there.
And then the commentary earlier about what exactly the household cost is. I know you were saying that the Green Team cost was obviously for their area, not CWS's area, so it was in fact, so to speak, apples to oranges, right? And so I guess what I'm curious about is when you're executing this direction, how are you going to go about comparing those and figuring out?
Right, and if I've read the details of the memo, not necessarily in the actual language of the recommendation, but in the additional language on the back of the memo, it references the Green Team bid as sort of, here's your point of departure, and so I would use that as say, look, we've got to come up with something that's less than that, and so we're talking that as our marker of a dollar amount. I imagine there's a lot of still a little bit of back and forth to go to negotiate. That's the point of it being a negotiation.
Right.
But I'd use what the Green Team's bid is my point of reference.
Okay, and is there any point in time within those 30 days that whether it's explicit or not, but that we can know, say at day 28, hey, this isn't working, or it is, or
I think what we could do is sort of like we were asked to release an info memo regarding the details. I assume if things look like they're going well, then we'll just agendize that as a council item, and that's how you would hear about it.
Okay.
If for some reason they're not, I think that we would communicate that out and up. I hope that's not the case, but the helpful piece about this, from my perspective, is it cuts down on the back and forth, and I think we can all get in the room and come to a solid agreement, but with the understanding that if we don't get to an agreement that actually meets these terms, then the next thing is to be out to bid. And I think that's solid, but I guess it would be, I'm sorry, I'm rambling a bit. It's getting a little late. We could certainly update you if we feel like we're not going to come to agreement and if the negotiations are going in a poor direction.
Okay, so just two other things. The first thing is I know the 60% increase is something that's been cited, right? Assuming they get to where Green Team is, what percentage of increase is that approximately?
Well, this is all the stuff I'd actually like to negotiate with them based on the direction, and I'd like to, if we have to discuss this with council, I think a closed session would be a more appropriate place to discuss that if we get to that point.
All right, I appreciate that.
I think from my perspective, I've got general enough direction, and we would interpret this to bargain hard but fair.
Yeah, and the conversations, because I think it's no secret that CWS has been going around having conversations with people, as everyone does, which it was legitimate sort of way to approach things. But they've expressed to me, and I'm sure they've expressed to everyone up here, that they're coming to the table. They want to make this work, and that they're going to do everything possible to put an end to this and move forward. So I'm hoping that is the result of this 30-day negotiation. So thank you for all your work. Thank you, David, Victor, everyone else involved, and of course the workers. We appreciate you, and we want to make sure you continue to have a job.
Okay, we've got now a second round of council members. So I'm going to encourage everyone to be succinct. I'll just jump in with my own question, and if you can answer this to this moment, great. And if you'd rather talk about it offline, fine. I just want to go back to that chart that Dave Sykes pointed you to on page 5 of that supplemental report, and you'll see the word weighted in parentheses above that last column where the prices are located. And I just want to understand, it says per household service rate. And then it says in parentheses, weighted. And I assume in all the statistical analyses I've seen, things are weighted so that we can compare apples to apples somehow. Can you tell me how we weight the service rates?
Yeah, the weighting is just averaging the two service districts into one rate.
Okay. So that's per household service rate. There's no other magic beyond dividing the number of households into the contract. Is that it? Is there something else?
No.
That's it. Okay. So I'm just trying to figure out why that isn't the answer then, because we're looking at the chart and Green Team's down here and CWS is up here, and anyway, I understand we've been here before, so if you'd rather move on, I'll move on. But
this is how we're seeing it, so we'd rather just move on.
Okay, this is how you see the reality of the offers at this point. All right, thank you. Councilor Camus.
I just want to ask a representative from CWS if the terms of this, are we going to be able to live with the terms of this? Or is this a, oh, there you are. Okay, sorry, I was looking that way. All right, with the council, with the Vice Mayor Chappie's memo, are you going to be able to go forward with this recommendation on the service levels, especially?
Yes, definitely, because we're looking for to be the same price with the Green Team. That's what we're looking for, because the report keeps saying that we higher, but we definitely right now we say that we're happy with that price. If that's what, and same level of service, same formula to be, everything the same. We're happy with that. We thank you, and things like this, we want to take this opportunity to say this. This NCN is the most headache, and everybody calling in. I'm here to propose right now, if the city willing to pay for the garbage that's coming into our bin, we process at our cost, and if the city paying for the garbage, take the garbage away, and do not penalize us because of contamination, we take the NCN up right now. So there are no more NCN, so there are no more call to council. Thank you.
Well, I think that's something you guys will be talking about in the next few days.
Better to be negotiated.
Yeah,
at
I
the
just
table.
wanted to make sure you're comfortable with the parameters of this agreement. Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Councilmember Esparza.
Yeah, and I really will be quick. I just wanted to point out on the contamination rates, households in areas A and C are much more dense, particularly in East San Jose than in Area B, and that I hope that the negotiations reflect that. Otherwise, we're going to continue to have contamination no matter who services that area.
Councilmember Diep.
So I just had a question, a clarification on the Vice Mayor Jones's memo. So the pay for performance part, negotiate to reach an agreement that enables CWS to provide service to customers at a price that may equal, and here's the confusing part, to me at least, that may equal but not exceed Green Team's current levels of contamination. So we're jumping from measuring price, and then we start measuring by levels of contamination. So I don't understand what that is. And maybe I'm just tired.
And Kip will probably be able to better answer that question, but there's a correlation between contamination and price.
Yeah, and I think there might just be I would suggest there might be just a missing word, not to exceed
yeah,
Green
there
Team's
is.
price at current levels of contamination.
Yeah, there's some price.
Okay. That's how my brain actually read it with that in there. So it's not in there actually, but I'm not in a position to make any suggestions in terms of amendments. But
and I've looked at it 20 times and I didn't catch that. So thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Yeah, so the words at may equal the price, but not exceed the price at Green Team's current level of contamination. Is that your understanding, Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. So the words price at would go after exceed.
Got it. Okay. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Good question. Councilmember Carrasco and then Councilmember Menace.
No, I don't know if this is worth words, whatever. I'm chopping up thoughts now at this point because Vice Mayor Jones and I were just kind of having a little side conversation, but actually in his district, because of the concentration of apartments, fourplexes, duplexes, and all that, how many? Do you know how many households you're being served?
I'll actually refer to staff on that.
I just wanted one point of clarification. It's useful to remember that Green Team is the one that serves multifamily dwellings, and so larger apartment buildings are those ones. And that's also a part of the reason. I just want to make sure that's clear that we're only talking about single family dwellings in areas A and C for CWS, not apartment complexes that have the push and the bin.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Other questions?
Yeah.
We haven't beat this horse yet. Okay. Oh, yes.
Just very. Sorry, I thought you were going to call me. I was.
No, you're right. I did. It's my fault. I forgot.
Just very quickly. So if there is a price associated with the level of contamination, and if we are in fact bringing the outreach in-house to try to lower those levels, theoretically, it's within the city's hands, assuming that's the way it moves forward, to be able to reduce that cost. Is it not? I mean, is that
exactly?
A good
That's exactly the logic, which is if there's a sliding scale and part of cost, not all of cost, but part of cost is contamination, then the incentive becomes on us to lower the amount of contamination. Theoretically, the way you would lower the amount of contamination is to help people understand what to do and what not to do, and change their behavior. And so that's why we want to bring the education, the outreach in-house, and look at creative ways of doing that, multilingual ways of doing that, ways of doing that to build on what we know about health behavior behaviors, so that if we were able to drop it a percentage or two, we would literally benefit from that. And to that point, since it's a burden on the haulers, they actually wouldn't theoretically mind that reduction in costs, because they would be dealing with less garbage. So it literally is a win-win-win if we can do that right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Okay, on the motion from Vice Mayor Jones, let's vote. Popcorn smells good.
How come nobody made fair popcorn?
No. All right, that passes. So now we have 3 other haulers, right? So if Councilmember Foley can hear me, yep, she's coming. Okay, Councilmember Foley's going to come out in a moment. We'll now entertain a motion as to all the other contracts as well. Is there a motion on the other contracts on this item? Motion from Councilmember Arenas, second from Carrasco. Any comment on that motion? Okay. All right, on the other contracts, let's vote. And if you are leaving, thank you for joining us. Please leave quietly, because we still have more work to do here. Thank you. No, 7-1. Okay, we are voting right now on 7.1. We're still voting on 7.1 because it was bifurcated. And we're now considering the other contracts as to the other haulers and recyclers. All right, so that's unanimous.